Regular City Council meeting for the City of Daly City, Monday, June 26. And at this time, may we have roll call, please? Or actually, let's stand up and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Ms. DiGiovanni, she reported absent to meet this evening. Dr. Rod,
Present.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, present.
Mr. Buenaventura, Ms. Manalo.
Present. Thank you very much. At this time, we have a presentation. I'd like to call up our Daly City Youth Poet Laureate, Olivia Veroy, who will be doing a poetry reading, In Our Youth. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Olivia Veroy, and I'm the 2023 to 2024 Youth Poet Laureate, and I recently graduated 8th grade, and the poem I will be sharing today is named In Our Youth, and I wrote it for my 8th grade graduation. In our youth, frenzied happiness brought on by sugary drinks and cupcakes from the grocery store. The easy silence afterwards, when you're too tired to do anything else. Messages scribbled hastily on notebook paper and glances from across the room with bright eyes holding secrets only you know. Muffled laughter. Laying in someone's lap, an arm thrown over your eyes to protect them from the sunlight, at peace. Walks along the beach and crumpled candy wrappers shoved in pockets, melted popsicle dripping down onto hands, grass stains on clothes, dusty bare feet from running across a field. Videos recorded shakily on your phone camera. You can hear how much you all laugh. And singing in the car at the top of your lungs, rolling down the windows to feel the wind whip past. If this is not love, then you do not know what else it could be. Thanks for these 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for that beautiful piece, and congratulations on being our Daly City Youth Poet Laureate, and giving us a reminder of our junior high and 8th grade years. It was really, really wonderful to hear that, and just the simple things in our youth. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you again. And also thank you for, I see you have your parent here, and also to the program coordinator, Victoria, for all your work that you do. We know that this is a special program in our community, and the continuity and having the youth voice present is huge. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask if any of my colleagues would like to share, and I see Councilmember Dr. Rod Dowsmugwell.
Olivia takes a lot of courage to speak, especially folks that you're unfamiliar with. I think I said it in the past, in past poet laureates, poetry was something that helped me become the person I am today. To be able to have the courage to go out and speak to folks, to unearth things that are coming from my soul and share with other people. And it takes a lot of courage, because once those words are said, those words are not yours anymore. Those words are owned by the people that are capturing it in the audience. And sometimes people judge, but it's the power of what you think of, the expressions that you have that make you who you are today. And that poem was beautiful. You know, I think one thing that I've been experiencing over these past few days, seeing family members I had like a mini family reunion over these past few days, and it's just crazy to see how fast time flies. That I still remember when I was in 8th grade, and then seeing my cousins when they were a few years older than me. And now we're all sitting around, we all have kids, and they're all in college, and it's beautiful to capture those words and to journal and to diary and to reflect, because when things get crazy and you become an adult, sometimes you have to revert back to why you do what you do, and it's those words that you said when you're on this podium. So thank you for sharing your words.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Magbual. And I see Councilmember Sylvester would like to say some words, please.
Olivia, thank you so much for those words that you presented to us. You know, being that you've read that in the 8th grade, I want to let you know that the words you use basically provides, number one, awareness and foresight. Because I'll let you know this, one thing stuck out in my mind that you said, and you said sugary drinks. And how true it is, even before you were born, and also to this very day, sugary drinks, and I'm still at it. So just want to say thank you so much. It was a pleasure to hear those words, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sylvester. And now moving on to our agenda. At this time, do we have an approval of the minutes for a regular meeting of June 12th, 2023?
Glenn Sylvester, motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
I have a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Now moving on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
I have a first.
Glenn Sylvester, second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Now moving on to public appearances and oral communications. Public participation, there are 2 ways to submit public comment. 1, submit written comments by the meeting day, and 2, attend the meeting in person. To submit a comment in writing, please visit www.dalycity.org/addendas and complete the public comment form. In the comment field box, include the item number and /or title of the item, as well as your comments. Public comments may also be emailed to cityclerk@dalycity.org by including public comment in the subject line. All written comments received by 4 p.m. on meeting day will be provided to the City Council prior to the meeting. Comments are not read aloud into the record. Please note any written comments received after 4 p.m. on the meeting date is not guaranteed to be received by the City Council prior to the meeting. 2, to speak at the meeting in person, please submit a speaker card located at the entrance to the council chambers and submit to the staff member as early in the meeting as possible. Persons with disabilities who require auxiliary aids or services in attending or participating in this meeting should call the office of the city clerk at 991-8078 as soon as possible. And now moving on to the speakers are limited to 2 minutes at this time, and the council cannot take any action on the matter raised under this item. But thank you all for joining us. We're now opening public comment. Madam City Clerk, are these the first speakers on the list? Thank you very much. I will now call on to Catherine Mills. Please come up.
Esteemed council members, my name is Catherine Mills, and I'm a library assistant 2 for Daly City. I've worked here for 17 years. An incoming full-time library assistant 1 will only make $52,000 per year. This is $13,000 under the threshold for a single person to have very low income in San Mateo County based on 2022 statistics. This is why we're asking for equity adjustments for our lowest paid positions. We just want our members to be paid a salary we can actually live on without worrying about how we're going to pay our bills. Now let's talk about raises. Every negotiation, we are told the city treats everyone the same by raising all of our salaries the same percentage. This phrasing is deceiving. Let's use 4% as an example. Our library assistant making $52K would receive a raise of $2,080. It doesn't lift them out of poverty, but it doesn't sound so bad until it's broken down by pay period. $80. The average salary in Daly City is $134,000. Thus, the average raise would be $5,360 or $206 per pay period. $80 versus $206. This is not the same, especially considering library assistants are not paid for our certifications, which would help boost our pay. So it's a flat $80 versus $206 plus. I know you can't control inflation, gas prices, or other outside factors. You didn't create the system currently used for raises. But you can control how the city responds to such factors, and right now you have an opportunity to try something different and really help a lot of people who have been left behind. I hope you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Now may I have Carlo Saladid?
Good evening. My name is Carlos Salidio, and I work as our gardener here in Daly City. I've worked for Daly City for 4 years now, and it's been my home for 30 years. And because our wages aren't keeping up with inflation, it's been really hard to make ends meet. Since moving here, we always live in an in-law apartment, and joining the Army for like 8 years, even my VA loan would not cut it. And it's hard, but we're just requesting fair pay, and which hopefully will keep up the cost of living as well as work-life balance. And I'm asking the council to please support a fair contract with these elements to recognize city's hardworking ASME employees. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. I correct the last name, Celio. Now, may I ask Jeff Templin to come up?
Good evening, Honorable City Council. I stand before you asking that you take action in helping us come to a resolution to our contract negotiations. We are asking you to change our cert pay to a percentage, a fair COLA, equity adjustments for our lowest paid, and create a 36-hour work week since we are so far behind inflation and we realize we won't get a 56 pay increase like you voted to give yourselves. Us AFSCME members are frontline workers. We are first responders to emergencies. We didn't work from home, and we often are the first face citizens ever deal with. But when it's negotiation time, we're like sent to the back of the line. Even though we aren't treated like other citizens or other people in this city, we play a huge role in running the city. When a citizen has an emergency, they often call 911. But when the city has an emergency, they call Public Works. From our AFSCME engineers to our streets division, we keep our roads in great condition, the stoplights and the streetlights on. Our AFSCME mechanics make sure PD and fire have tip-top vehicles to respond to citizen calls. AFSCME members in facilities and custodial keep the buildings clean and in good working conditions, and our play equipment safe at the playgrounds. Speaking of playgrounds, it is again AFSCME who keeps the playgrounds and parks well-maintained, clean, safe, and ready for use. Now let's talk another form of public safety. Libraries and recreation. They keep the next generation safe from the streets by providing them with a safe place to learn and play while they are trying to learn how to manage life. Our building inspectors make sure that when a citizen hires a contractor, they are getting things done by code and shortcuts aren't taken by contractors. And our meter readers often are the first to detect if you may have a water leak. As you can see, AFSCME really does make the city move, and now it's time for you to make a move and treat us fairly. Thank you.
Ryan Fernandez.
Good evening, honorable council members and vice mayor and city manager. I am Ryan Fernandez, a Daly City resident for the past 36 years and a 22-year employee with the Department of Public Works Building Maintenance. I'm here tonight to ask for a fair raise and equity adjustment that have been given to all other groups. My wife, who has been a homemaker for the past 17 years, has been raising our 4 children and has been retrained to start working this July 3rd in the medical field so that we can keep up with the high cost of inflation and the high cost of living. Our city-sponsored Cigna dental care is not being accepted by most dental offices today unless we pay double out of pocket for care. This is but one example of how challenging things have become. I hope my voice is heard and swift action on your part is done to help keep my family afloat during these times. Thank you.
Thank you. David Setzer.
I'm asking if I could speak for him. You'll understand why as soon as I read. He sent me something.
Okay, go ahead.
My name's Jeff Templin, and I'm speaking for David Zetzer. He's a recreation program supervisor and has worked for the city for 29 years, 24 being permanent. And he asked me to read this because he's unable to attend because he has to work 2 jobs in order to live close to work. He's asking that you give a fair cost of living increase and a 36-hour work week so he can have a better work-life balance. Thank you.
Thank you. Joshua Rees.
Hi, my name is Joshua Reese, and I have been a Daly City librarian for over 21 years, where I currently oversee cataloging and collection services. As a whole, the library is down 4 full-time positions since I was hired, plus many fewer part-time staff, all while struggling to maintain services and as many service hours as possible. Not an easy thing to do, as staff are increasingly burned out. Library budgets are kept too low, with the staff underpaid and overworked. The Library and Recreation Services Department has the lowest paid classifications in Daly City, while providing much direct positive interactions and services to Daly City residents. During my 21 years with the city and 17 years on the union's negotiating team, we regularly hear how the city cannot afford to pay the lowest paid employees more. But every time we are told this, we then see the large dollar figures going to the management classifications, while AFSCME members receive very little. Yes, the city has offered AFSCME at least the same % COLA as the other bargaining groups and management, but that is not the same dollar amount. Some AFSCME classifications make $55,000 a year or less, so a 4% or even a 5% raise is nowhere near the same as for managers making close to $170,000 to $400,000 a year. About a $2,700 a year increase for a library assistant versus an increase of some $10,000 to $20,000 or more at a 5% COLA. I regularly hear from fellow city employees about how financially difficult it is for them to continue working for the city of Daly City, and that many job applicants look elsewhere because of the low pay. Since our wages aren't keeping up with inflation, it's harder and harder for our low-paid AFSCME members to make ends meet. We deserve living wages that allow employees to live where they work. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, may I have Nick Crescenci?
Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to talk about AFSCME's contract. I'm here not to talk for myself, but to talk for my fellow members and for my family as a whole. I have 2 children, and I want to talk about the fact that inflation is killing us and the wages not keeping up with that. The city used to pay wages that would provide. I have a fellow coworker whose father worked for Daly City his entire career. He was able to provide for his 3 children, live close to work, and put them through private schools. I will not be able to afford to do that with my children. We are striving for our children to have a better life, and that's what we are fighting for. Many of the members who live here in Daly City, who manage to live here in Daly City, do it only because they either grew up here and their parents have offered their homes and moved somewhere else. They still live with their parents because they're young, or they are like me and they have to commute long distances to get here. So we are fighting for the work-life balance to provide for our families and to provide excellent service by not having to worry about them and giving them the better life, which then allows us to focus on providing the services for the greater good of the citizens of Daly City. I thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Selena Terong.
Good evening, honorable council members. My name is Selena Torona. I moved to Daly City back in 1998, and I'm honored to have been serving my community as a library employee since 2015. In that time, I've been blessed with countless opportunities, and I'm so lucky to work with my community. I'm here because I love what I do, seeing our future leaders as they grow and helping community elders and the underserved access technology. I'm here as a member of AFSCME's bargaining team in hopes that my union brothers and sisters can receive a fair contract so that we can all continue making Daly City the place that I'm proud to call home. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, let me clarify, that was Torona. So thank you, instead of Torong. Are there any more speakers? Okay. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to all those that spoke this evening. Now we will be moving on to our consent agenda. With the consent agenda, are there any items to be pulled by my colleagues? I see none by Dr. Rod or Councilmember Sylvester says no. Okay. I do have just 2 items to pull on this. I have item number 11 and then item number 9 and 11. So with the exception of items 9 and 11, I make a motion to approve the agenda. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Item number 9, accept and appropriate Measure K funds to automated external defibrillators program and authorize city manager to execute grant agreement.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. San Mateo County District 5 Supervisor David Canepa has sponsored Measure K funding in the amount of $148,176 to cover the costs of the city's automated external defibrillators program, including 36 devices that will be installed across 19 public facilities, installation, and employee training. Statistics show that access to AEDs in public places improve the chances of survival from sudden cardiac arrest. As a public agency, it is critical that AEDs be accessible to community members and staff. Staff recommends that the City Council accept and appropriate the Measure K grant for the city's AED program and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute the grant agreement. And staff is available to provide any additional information desired.
Thank you so much, Leilani, for that presentation. I just wanted to acknowledge, and when approached to our supervisor, David Canepa, upon having these life-saving really apparatus in our community, Supervisor David Canepa responded, and now even if you walk out into City Hall, you'll see it right by the elevator. And knowing that our community has a lot of heart disease, these type of apparatus that are life-saving is very important, especially in our, our very public spaces. And so it's really great that the Measure K funds will go towards that. And want to say thank you for the coordination with you, Leilani, and also our city manager, Tom Picoletti, for doing this. I just wanted to extend the community to understand that this is actually going to be in our community spaces. So I had no further questions, but wanted to acknowledge this wonderful addition to our community needs. And so are there any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Leilani and staff, for putting this together, but I also want to thank Supervisor David Canepa for sponsoring this Measure K funds. Sometimes when we think about emergencies, we don't think of defibrillators, and it's better to be prepared than not be prepared at all. So I'm appreciative and grateful that this funding is going towards that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Comment.
All right, Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I just basically have one question and then a comment. First of all, I'd like to thank Supervisor Canepa for allocating such funds for a sorely needed device. What would be the maintenance to maintain these devices in the years to come?
We are contracted with a company, Cintas, and that's going to be included with the program and the funding that was provided through Measure K. So the company will come in and do annual inspections.
And will this continue, like, say, what happens next year, or does this funding, how long will this funding pay for the maintenance?
So the Measure K funding is granted for a 2-year period. We are in a 60-month contract with Cintas, so it's offsetting the city costs for the program.
Excellent. Well, what I wanted to make a comment, what I want to say again, I am very, very appreciative because these defibrillators are a vital part of any community. I can recall being, it was a recommendation approximately 3 to 4 years ago where I recommended that every city building should have a defibrillator. And I'm glad to see that it's come to fruition. So once again, I want to thank staff for all their work and all those who took part in having this program come today. And again, I reiterate my special thanks to Supervisor Canepa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And at this juncture, I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 9.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 11. Yes.
Just a quick comment that all the city staff is being trained in the proper use. So not only, that's part of the program as well, so we're getting the training as well. They're pretty self-sufficient, but it's important to know that all the staff are going to be able to utilize it in an emergency at all the sites.
That's excellent. Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
I'd like to make a comment along those lines.
Go ahead, Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Picoletti, for that information. I think training is a very vital part in defibrillation, in the use of the defibrillators. And if I can make one recommendation as your staff goes to this training, know the circumstances when they have to pull the plug. I know the answer to that, but whoever trains, what did he mean by pull the plug? So, something for you to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to, thank you for that information in regards to the staffing being able to be trained on the defibrillators. Now moving on to item number 11, approve partnership with Vibes and Smiles and Yelp Peninsula for a back-to-school community event and authorize the city manager to it says executive. Isn't it execute?
It's execute.
Okay, I think we need to there's a typo. I'm like, okay, city manager to execute a one-day temporary license for use of Gellert parking lot.
Good evening again, Vice Mayor and council members. Vibes and Smiles and Yelp Peninsula are inviting the Daly City Council to partner on a back-to-school community event on Sunday, August 6, 2023, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Gellert Park Picnic Shelters to collect backpacks and essential school supplies to provide Daly City youth in need. As a partner, the city would host the event at Gellert Park and promote the event to the Daly City community. The partnership would include Vibes and Smiles, Yelp Peninsula, the City of Daly City, and several food truck vendors. The council may consider becoming an official event partner, providing use of the Gellert Park parking lot, and waiving fees and other requirements for the rental of the Gellert Park picnic shelter. As Vibes and Smiles has already submitted payment for the $250 refundable deposit, total fees amount to $250 for the daily rental fee. The $144 non-refundable insurance fee is waived as Vibes and Smiles has added the City of Daly City as additional insured under their liability insurance certificate. The event includes food trucks and food booths. These businesses are subject to the following additional requirements, and as the main event coordinator, Vibes and Smiles will work with San Mateo County Environmental Health to obtain all necessary permits. Staff recommends that the City Council approve partnership and fee waivers and authorize the city manager to execute a one-day temporary license for use of Gellert Park parking lot for this back-to-school community event. Staff is available to provide any additional information, and we also have Amanda, the founder of Vibes and Smiles, available as well.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Ms. Leilani Ramos. And I wanted to pull the item because we did have Amanda here who came with Vibes and Smiles. But I think these are the type of community partnerships that is really amazing to see come to fruition. You know, when you provide back to the youth, and especially for youth in need, it's an opportunity for partnerships to emerge and come together. And this coming before us, you know, I just want to say I'm in full support of it because it's important to give back to our youth. And some folks, it's even hard to get a simple backpack, right? And kids every year probably want to get a new backpack. And so even to those simple needs, and then having a central location like Gellert Park, right in the community, really shows how thoughtful it is, and also how there's going to be a private partnership with Yelp Peninsula, right? So this is a great example of a private-public nonprofit collaboration for our youth and young people. And definitely in support of this. It's item number 11, my favorite number, but I want to provide Amanda the opportunity to speak on your program.
Good evening, honorable council members. My name is Amanda. I'm the founder of Vibes and Smiles. As a nonprofit, our mission is to inspire others to give back to our communities by empowering humanity together. And one way we do this is to put events together to help the underprivileged areas in every city. This means especially home to me because I've been living here since 1980 something. I don't want to say my age, and my daughter just graduated from Fernando. She's going to Westmore, so this is home for me. And it means a lot to bring up our community and show how we are in it together for each other. And we are going to provide local vendors. We're going to have partnership with Daly City Public Library, Fire Department, police department, info booths, retail vendors, live music, and really bring the awareness of Daly City to others as well and show how we are, the community, can stand together strong. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for your presentation as well. And so with that, I'd like to move to approve this item because it's a positive event for our community and our youth, and it's welcome to everyone. So.
Before I can I make a comment?
Yes, of
Amanda,
course.
thank you for coming through. As a person that runs like a youth nonprofit as well, I always hear all the bagging on other kids and be like, oh, your backpack is whack or your shoes are this and that. And I feel like this event is killing two birds with one stone. You know, one is putting together all the communities together, but then number two is providing necessary resources for students to have something fresh and something new for the school year. I know some students probably wouldn't want to hear that right now. They're like, I'm in the middle of summertime. And myself as well. It's like, oh my God, I'm about to start the semester soon. But but thank you for putting this event, and I'm supportive of this event as well. I know there's already a motion. Oh.
Oh, yeah. You would like to make a comment before?
Amanda, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming back. I've seen your events prior in the past and what Vibes and Smiles has done. I just have a couple of questions. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was to solicit the obtaining of backpacks for our youth?
Correct.
Okay. And when is this event going to happen?
Sunday, August 6th.
August 6th. I'm concerned, is that a good enough time frame? Because I believe our youth go back to school like maybe late August or the third week. So how will we get the backpacks to our youth?
I'm working with the school principal.
Okay. What I wanted to say, what stuck in my mind is you said a magic word that's very, very important to me, and that's underserved youth. And not only in the area of Gellert Park, but I'm thinking about the Bay Shore and other areas. And I think you had an event at the Bay Shore Elementary School as well. As Council Member Dasmat Boal had made mention, where kids don't want to think about backpacks because it's summertime, but my grandkids go to Bay Shore Elementary and they're going to summer school. So I think it's great. It's a very creative idea, and especially with the collaboration you've worked with, like you had made mention about police, public library. I think it's very, very creative. So I want to give you kudos for that. I do know that we have other organizations within Daly City Partnership, I believe, and I'm hoping that you can collaborate with them so that we all can be on the same page rather than each person or each organization doing something different. And I also believe there was a Imani Stewart who gives away free backpacks every year. So coming together and with your creative ideas and what we have now, oh yeah, we're going to put a dent in taking care of our youth. So thank you so much for coming before the council on this. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. And thank you for also being able to work with our school principals to find out kind of where those schools and where those needs are. And I also want to mention, you know, I first met Amanda when we were working on the Stop API Hate during the pandemic. And her organization really stepped up and tried to, you know, get whistles and also safety training for whether it's youth or older adults or seniors. And so that's where we were able to collaborate together. And one of those very first collaboration and events was at Gellert Park. And that community event brought many organizations together as well. And so I think it just shows the continuity of how you work with Pacific Islanders together, how you work with, so many different parts of the city of Daly City. And so I am now asking for a second.
Second.
Thank you very much. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now moving on to item number 13. We have the public hearing for commercial preferential permit parking.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. The Commercial Vehicle Permit Parking Pilot Program, or CVP, was developed over 20 years ago to establish parking areas outside of residential zones where working residents and businesses could park their commercial vehicles that they relied upon for their livelihood. As way of background, the CVP requires Daly City residents and business owners to obtain a CVP permit, pay a non-refundable annual permit fee currently set at $200, and park only in the designated commercial vehicle parking zones. There are 3 zones designated for commercial vehicle parking. The following are maps posted on the city's website. Here you'll see Zone 1 located in the Bayshore. Next, we have Zone 2, which is located in the Civic Center. And finally, we have Zone 3, which is split up into 2 sections, A and B, both located in the Ceremony area. CVP zones have a limited number of parking permits in each of the 3 zones and are made available on a first-come, first-served basis. Having a CVP permit does not guarantee a parking place, nor does it allow permit holders to park in the commercial vehicle area for more than 72 consecutive hours or exempt them from street cleaning. Approximately 60 CVP permits are issued annually. A recent review of the program has emphasized the need for various program updates. Tonight, we will discuss proposals to amend Daly City Municipal Code sections 10.32.150 and 10.32155, address the use of CVP zones as storage by adding a 2-hour limit parking zone, and consider increases for commercial vehicle parking violations. There are 2 proposed changes to Daly City Municipal Code Section 10.32.150. Section A prohibits the parking of oversized vehicles on any street, with the exception of commercial vehicle parking zones, between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Commercial vehicle parking zones are designated between the hours of 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day, including holidays. To allow consistency in enforcement of oversized vehicles from parking in residential, non-commercial parking zones, it is recommended that this section be updated to reflect the same hours of commercial vehicle parking zones, which is 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. As Section A5 currently limits the enforceability of trailers to truck trailers, as it is written, there's a variation of trailers that have been found parked within the city boundaries, and it is recommended that this section be updated to reflect any trailer to remove any ambiguity when enforcing this section. There are 3 proposed changes to Daly City Municipal Code Section 10.32.155. Section C2 aligns the annual renewal period of CVP permits with residential parking permits. As this program serves Daly City residents who are local business owners, as well as Daly City business owners, a requirement to obtain a CVP is a current Daly City business license. Since Daly City business license annual renewals occur in September of each year, it is recommended that this section be updated to reflect annual renewal of CVP permits to occur after the renewal of business licenses. If approved, current CVP permit holders will be notified of the new renewal dates, and their existing permits will remain in effect beyond the June 30th expiration date. Section J has been updated to better address falsified or fraudulent permits. As this act is intentional, it is recommended that the privilege to participate in the CVP shall be revoked for the remainder of the year in which the permit was issued, and permit holders will be permanently restricted from participating in the program. Staff recommends adding Section K to address illegal dumping activities occurring in commercial vehicle parking zones. Any permit holders caught illegally dumping will be permanently restricted from participating in the program. A point of clarification, staff also recommends that the privilege to participate in the CVP shall be revoked for the remainder of the year in which the permit was issued. As CVP was originally developed with the intention of providing overnight parking for commercial vehicles that are in operation during the day by Daly City residents and business owners, many commercial vehicle parking zones are currently being utilized as on-street storage of commercial vehicles. As an unintended consequence, the lack of turnover in commercial vehicle parking zones have attracted an uptick in illegal dumping activities, particularly in Zone 3B, since many commercial vehicles are oversized vehicles that provide a shield for violators to dump out of plain sight. On May 11, 2023, the Traffic Safety Committee met to discuss the feasibility of adding a 2-hour limit parking zone between the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. in all commercial vehicle parking zones. The committee recommended this change to encourage turnover during the day and attempt to reduce illegal dumping. Staff recommends that the 2-hour limit parking zone be designated Monday through Friday, excluding holidays. Daly City is the only city in San Mateo County to offer a CVP, so fines and penalties cannot be accurately compared to neighboring jurisdictions. While some cities zone specific areas such as industrial areas that allow commercial parking, other cities prohibit any commercial vehicle parking from within their city boundaries. As such, staff recommends consideration of the proposed parking violation bail schedule to be effective July 1st of 2023. Fines were last updated in November of 2019. The proposed fines for commercial vehicle parking outside of the permitted CVP zones and commercial vehicle parking in the permitted CVP zones without displaying a current city-issued permit were calculated using an annual 3% cost of living adjustment to date to establish a basis of the newly proposed fines. The proposed fine for non-commercial vehicle parking in the permitted CVP zones aligns the penalty with the commercial vehicle parking in the permitted CVP zones without displaying a current city-issued permit to deter non-commercial vehicles from parking in the designated CVP zones, since these zones are intended exclusively for commercial vehicles during overnight hours. The new fine for commercial vehicle parking in the permitted CVP zones with fraudulent or falsified permit is recommended, as several of these instances have occurred. As this act is intentional, it is recommended that the fine match the egregious nature of the violation. Instead of merely getting cited as a commercial vehicle parking in the permitted CVP zone without displaying a current city-issued permit, it seems reasonable for violators to face a more significant penalty than a commercial vehicle parking outside of the permitted CVP zones. As the COLA for fiscal year 2024 is 4%, staff recommends building in an annual 4% COLA future forward, consistent with cost recovery methods of recently approved fee schedules. In sum, staff recommends that the City Council amend Section 10.32150, parking of oversized vehicles, amend Section 10.32155, commercial preferential permit parking, approve resolution to add a 2-hour limit parking zone between the hours of 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. in all commercial vehicle parking zones, and approve resolution to amend fines for commercial vehicle parking violations. And staff is available for any questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation and bringing this forth, as you show in your diagrams a lot of areas that have the commercial vehicle parking zones, and the changes that is necessary to actually, with the commercial parking comes the illegal dumping. Illegal dumping then becomes a problem because of all of the trash and so forth. And I know that there have been residents in the community that have mentioned how it's been, you know, very difficult for them, and also an eyesore, as well as just the continuity of debris just on an ongoing basis. So I just want to say thank you to the staff for bringing this proposal to the council this evening. One question I do have, and I'll open up to my colleagues, is I know this is in regards to zones that are designated. What if there is commercial parking happening within the residential area? What is the consequence for that?
So for those commercial vehicles parking in residential zones, any zones that's not designated for commercial vehicles, it would fall under the bail schedule for commercial vehicle parking outside of the permitted zone, which is currently set at $260.
Okay, so that's basically there would be a fee.
Yes, and the proposed increased fine would be $292.63.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, are there any questions from my colleagues? Go ahead, Councilmember Sylvester, and then Councilmember Dasmagwa.
The question I have is the requirements and determination. What are the requirements to classify as a commercial vehicle? One axle, two axles, anything above three axles? What if somebody has a commercial plate and they have a commercial truck with two axles? Could they be qualified to park in a CVP zone?
So the CVP zones would cover, in the program, the commercial preferential permit parking covers all oversized vehicles that are defined in section 10.32.150. And that is an attachment that I do have in your packet. For the two axle, let me see here. I do also have police available to answer questions, as they may know this a little bit more off the top of their head.
That's good. You said the magic word, and I just glommed onto it, even though you did say it in your presentation, but you quantified it by the use of oversized vehicles, so that's good enough for me. Thank you so much on that one. And how about signage? Will we have appropriate signage identifying what is a CVP zone?
We will. So we currently have signage that's displayed here. There will be a fiscal impact with any approval of this item, as signs will need to be updated to distinguish the zones. And if the 2-hour parking limit is approved as well, those would all be updated. And with a recent audit that was conducted with staff, we realized that there are signs that need to be updated and some signs that may be missing. So all of that will be updated with this program.
Oh, where did you get that slide? I didn't see that here.
It was an extra slide just in case a question came up.
Well, why? You knew I was probably going to ask those questions? That's good. That's good. I like it. You're on it. What would be the citing section? Is there any other vehicle code section other than, I guess, our traffic control and our police officers will use violation 10.32.150 or 10.32155. I guess either one of those, that's what they'll be using.
Correct.
Am I correct? Okay. All right, so there's no particular vehicle code section like 22500 series or, thank you very much. Got it. Vehicle code. And I'll make a final comment. First of all, I have to commend you and the work you've done on this thus far. I know specifically at the, I believe it's Gellert Street or at the cemetery, we've had problems there, as the Vice Mayor had made mention, and I think this is going to help alleviate the illegal dumping, because I know we have the clean program, and you're adding much more to basically give it some oomph to address illegal dumping. So I have to say thank you so much on that, on the illegal dumping. You've also considered another aspect, parking between 7 and 5 p.m. to push a change in behavior, such as turnover. We definitely need turnover. because if we don't have it, folks will just take advantage and just park there all day. So I want to say excellent point to address the turnover, while at the same time addressing the dumping concerns that we have. So permits, oh, okay, one other one. So if somebody gets a permit for an oversized vehicle and they put in another oversized vehicle, but pull out the permit and put it in the other oversized vehicle that does not have the permit, do we have a mechanism in place? I think you had made mention about fraudulent use of the permit.
That would fall under the falsified or fraudulent permits, and there is the proposed significant fine, which we currently don't have on the bail schedule. And so the new proposed fine would be double the fine, the highest fine, to match the egregious effort for the fraudulent and falsified permit.
Thank you so much. I mean, on the other hand, I support businesses and I know they need a place to go. And the fact that other cities don't have such a program, and it leaves businesses to fend for themselves, to maybe even come up here to Daly City and try to use our CVP. But it's a move in the right direction in threading that fine line between businesses, but at the same time ensuring turnover and a place to go. So thank you very much. That's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Das Magwal.
How do the permits look like? Are they something that's placed on the dashboard? Is it something that's hung on the?
I believe it's a sticker. It's issued through our finance department.
Okay.
And then there's a code that's associated with the permit that was issued. And so if the police department is out there to enforce, they can go back and match that permit with the vehicle that's supposed to be registered to it, and then enforce appropriately.
All right. So if people try to Photoshop it and make their own sticker.
There have been cases, which is why we're adding the new.
Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you very much. So are there any public comments on this item, Madam Clerk?
Can we open the public?
Okay, motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have no cards.
Okay, motion to close. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Now, we have a motion for the city attorney to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Daly City, amending chapters 10.32150 and 10.32155 of Title 10 of the Daly City Municipal Code regarding oversized vehicles and commercial parking permits.
Thank you very much, City Attorney Zimmerman, and I will be happy to introduce this ordinance, something that's long overdue in our community. May I have a motion to adopt a resolution?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say.
Actually, can we have a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvester,
Len Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo.
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 14, water rate adjustments. We have Staff Director Joshua Cosgrove. And I see in the audience today, we have our Faith in Action.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. This item is a continuation of the water rates discussion from the previous meeting. At the previous meeting, the public hearing was opened and closed, and 43 protest letters were received. The requirement to overturn the proposed rates would have been $11,501, so it was short of that requirement. During the council deliberation, there were questions and comments, and we staff very much appreciate the opportunity to bring this item back for further discussion and deliberation, and also further information. And with that, I will work through my PowerPoint. So one of the main comments that was provided by council to us was the assistance programs that we have done and are available to members, to customers, to members of the public. And the first that I wanted to note there was the California Water Arrearage Payment Program. This council authorized that program, and we were able to help during COVID 1,008 customers and who received in total $428,000, which was on average about $420 per customer account. So a very, very helpful program to many of our customers. The program that was mentioned at the last meeting is the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. That is a program that will provide a one-time payment and help for someone, for a customer that gets behind in their water bill. There is a local program coordinator that if a customer gets behind on their water bill and needs assistance, we would help them get in contact with that program coordinator. And as mentioned, there are eligibility requirements. To be eligible, you need to be at 60% or below of the state median income level. And if you are eligible, then you would receive that one-time payment to help you with your water bill. And to go on, Daly City Partnership, that's an organization that we work with to help customers who do need assistance, financial assistance, with not just water bills, but other issues also. We work with them to help customers get connected to the different programs that are out there. And so water bills is one of the opportunities for that. And some of the main programs that are available that we would work with and do work with Daly City Partnership on is through the county of San Mateo. And their programs, CalWorks, General Financial Assistance, Cash Assistance Program for Immigrants, all of those are programs that are available to help people with water bills or other types of assistance they may need. And then internally, Daly City Utility Billing, we will help customers who get behind with payment plans. And one thing to note, we do not charge late fees or interest to people that need assistance in that manner. And then one thing that was made very clear to city manager, finance director, myself, was a rate assistance program through Daly City itself. And that came across very directly through the last meeting. And so we got together and really worked to try to put something together that we believe will help our customers and provide some assistance to those that need it. And so what I have is a draft program, and I have the outline of it in the PowerPoint. I have the details, which I'm going to hand out to you, along with draft application materials that we put together. Most of this will be on the PowerPoint, but just in case, I wanted to hand this to you. Dr. Rock, thank you. But in a broad outline of the program, qualified applicants may receive a credit on their water bill that would equal the increase that is before you tonight if approved. For example, if the eligible low-income customer has an average water bill of 1,200 cubic feet, they would receive a credit that is the difference between the new and previous rate. So the new potential rate would be $141.82. That's a 2-month bill. The previous rate was $136.37. And so a credit of $5.45 would be made for that customer that is eligible. And what we did with the eligibility requirements is we looked at what other agencies are doing And we try to mirror that. And so what some agencies do is 50% of the median household income is and below is what they use as eligibility requirements for different types of utility assistance programs. So I just have a chart there that shows you the current San Mateo County median, and then what 50% of the median looks like per household. So one person in the household, the median income is $122,500, so half of that would be approximately $61,000. So someone at $61,000 and below would be eligible for this program. And you can see it goes up all the way to 8-member households. And if it does go beyond that, there is an adjustment also that we're proposing as part of that program. And just broadly, so if approved, this program would be on a first-come, first-served basis. It would be based on the fiscal year, so July to June. And one of the good things about that is it would be immediately available, if so approved. And then applicants would be able to apply throughout the year. Again, it would be contingent upon the source of the availability of funds. It would be an annual program, so people would have to reapply. If their financial situation changes, they would be required to notify us because they would no longer be eligible. And the assistance would not be transferable with a property or an applicant. And again, there's a few more details that will go along to that, but I'll leave it broadly like that for right now. And so that's the assistance program we're proposing. And I just wanted to briefly mention Faith in Action is here, and I was very privileged and honored to speak to them at the Franciscan Mobile Home Park on Saturday. They were here at the last meeting and made some very good comments on what these water rates mean to people. And so we had a very good open discussion. One thing that I was very appreciative of, they had translators there. We brought translators too. We're fortunate in the Water Wastewater Department. We have employees that speak multiple languages, and they did too. And they had these machines that because I only speak English, unfortunately, but I was able to hear through the phones, the translation, and it worked out. I thought it worked out really well. We had a very good dialogue. We were able to speak about what I just mentioned, the assistance programs, and what the department can do. And I was able to speak a little bit about myself too. And I thought it was a very good dialogue, and I hope if we hear speakers that they'll agree with that. Some of the other comments that were made as I move along to our last meeting comments, there were some questions about the average bill comparisons. And when we put that chart together, there were actually rate adjustments that were taking place as we put that information together. So I just wanted to provide an updated chart. And our position would roughly be the same if approved. East Palo Alto is a little bit higher. Now they had just approved rates the week before we had our meeting. And Estero Municipal Improvement District, which is Foster City, Menlo Park, they have approved rates that are happening in July. And then there was a discussion on why there was a difference in rates, since most of those agencies that I just mentioned, we all purchase water, most of our water from the San Francisco PUC Hetch Hetchy system. And Daly City, because of geography, we have much higher operational costs because it does cost more for us to pump through the hills and valleys that are in Daly City, which we have more compared to those other agencies. And then our infrastructure is older than most of those other agencies. And some of our infrastructure is about 100 years old. And so it does need replacement, and it's a little bit older than some of those other agencies. And then I just wanted to kind of briefly go through our capital requirements. I mean, sometimes when we review like our capital requirements, we're looking at something on a page, on a piece of paper, and I just wanted to kind of highlight what some of those investments these water rates would go into. And what you're looking at right here is Reservoir 6B, which is located on Nelson Court. And unfortunately, in one of the heavy windstorms that came this winter, the roof was actually blown apart. And this tank is currently out of service while we are designing a new roof. And these water rates will help for us, replace these roofs, replace this roof, and get this tank back in service as soon as we can. We were fortunate that we had a system where we could, open valves and close valves and be able to move water around and continue to serve people with water. But it goes to kind of the nature of water systems. We kind of, as long as we open the tap and water comes out, clean water comes out, we're happy. But we don't know sometimes what it takes to make sure that water comes out. And this is kind of some of the things that we have to, spend and have to invest in to continue to have that clean water. And then this is just another tank that is out of service and needs to be replaced. And it is also part of the capital program that is in the current water rate proposal before you. This is Reservoir 7, and this is at the top of the hill. If you can picture the peak right where King Drive is and Skyline Highway 35. There's 2 tanks up there. One belongs to Daly City, the one that needs to be replaced. The other tank, which is a newer tank, belongs to a neighboring agency. We actually have an agreement with them where we're actually being served by that larger tank right now through an agreement while we design a new tank to replace that one. Whoops, I just accidentally turned it off. There we go. And then just briefly, Reservoir 5B. This is a very large tank that needs structural rehab. It doesn't meet current seismic standards. And I just wanted to kind of include this to kind of give you the scale of the size of this tank. If you can see the utility trucks that are there at the top of that tank. It's our largest tank. Holds about 10 million gallons of water. And it needs to be structurally rehabbed so that it can survive a bad earthquake, a difficult, significant earthquake, so we can continue to provide water to our residents. And then I just kind of wanted to wrap up just the cost of water. Sometimes it's helpful for me to remind myself, what we're able to do for our customers in providing water. Right there would be like a 55-gallon drum, and that would cost 52 cents. For our water rates that we're proposing. And if you think about, how many times we go and buy like a bottle of water from a store, maybe spend $3 on 16 or 32 ounces of water, when the water that comes out of the tap is as clean or cleaner than a lot of the bottled water, and for a much more reasonable cost. And just wanted to kind of point that out. And with that, I thank you again for letting us put together this presentation, provide the more information. It is critical that we do review this rate structure and approve something tonight. We have gone through the Prop 218 process to get to here, and we're happy to answer any questions, and thank you very much for letting us present that again.
Thank you so much, Director Cosgrove, for that presentation and update from our last meeting. But I would like to open it up to public comment since we have Faith in Action here, and some of them have brought up speaker cards at this time. And so the first person I'd like to bring up is Wendy Cruz.
Hola, buenas noches a todos.
Good evening to all of you.
Gracias por la oportunidad de darnos de estar aquí.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Mi nombre es Wendy Cruz y vivo en Daly City por 18 años.
My name is Wendy Cruz and I have lived in Daly City for
18 años.
18 years. Need my glasses.
Y soy líder de Fe en Acción por 6 años.
And I have been a leader with Faith in Action for 6 years.
Estoy aquí esta noche apoyando el programa que tuvimos la oportunidad el sábado de escuchar, y estamos aquí para apoyar ese programa. También podemos decir que podemos apoyar los otros programas que hay ahorita, pero esos son una ayuda una sola vez, y esta va a ser una ayuda como para largo plazo.
I am here to support that we had the opportunity to hear on Saturday the program from Mr. Cosgrove. Also, we also support the other programs, but unfortunately those only help one time, and we are here to support his program that will help us more on a continued basis.
Y nomás resumiendo un poquito en mi propia historia, sí me afectaría un poco lo que va a subir el agua, pero más me gustaría y me encantaría tener esos programas a largo plazo, más que todo para ayudar a nuestra comunidad y también para la ayuda que no sea solo una vez, sino que para largo plazo. Ese es mi comentario hasta ahora.
And I would like to talk a little bit about my personal history. This will impact me very much also. I would like to have programs that will help our community on a long term and not only one time.
Muchas gracias. Buenas
Thank
noches.
you very much.
Thank you. Now, may we have Christopher Pereira?
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Christopher Pereira. I am a student at San Francisco State University, and it's a pleasure for me to stand here again and speak to y'all. And I'm here also to to support all the programs that they have mentioned. It's just a little compromise for our community to help us for those who are in need and elder and fixed income. And I really appreciate the compromise, but I also wish that we can find a compromise for the different programs that only allow one-time help and assistance. And I feel like we should, it should be a continuous thing for those who have the vulnerability of a fixed income and they are unable to work. And that'll be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bernadette McDonald? It's okay, hello. Hello. Do you want to go to the mic? Yes.
Thank you. I'm a leader with Faith in Action, and I've been living in Daly City for 28 years. And just recently my husband died and became low income. So I'm really concerned about the water concerns, that are going up at the Franciscan, as we pay huge rent there anyway, and ground rent. We own the home, but we don't own the land, and we pay $1,500 ground rent. They call it lot fees. And so any more expenses would cripple me completely, and especially water, because, water is expensive. And I would appreciate it if you would, and think you're doing a good job taking care of us. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. May we have David Barrett?
Thank you, Vice Mayor and council members. My name is David Barrett, and I have lived in Daly City for 23 years. I'm concerned with the proposed water rates. 4% adds up quick, and in 5 years, it'll be a 20% raise from current. Stopping a raise would be unreasonably thinking. I would like to see some help that's easy to understand and access for those in need. I know Daly City has programs to help with rent and want to make sure there is something also for the water rate raise. Hopefully more than a one-time payment is going to be available for those in need. I see the City Council ask staff to review financial assistance available to customers that demonstrate the need due to the proposed rate adjustment. I'm not behind on my water bill and not a water department customer. It is built into my rent and utilities as one bill. Director Cosgrove came to our Faith in Action meeting last Saturday and provided some information which was helpful. I feel renters and mobile home owners like myself, that aren't always water department customers won't be able to access help available to water department customers as water department customers would get. So I just want to make sure that we're not forgotten in that regard. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's have Leonardo Monteza, please.
Magandang gabi, Vice Mayor.
Good evening, Vice Mayor.
Ang pangalan ko ay Leonardo M. Montesa. Ako ay isang pinuno sa Paint and Action Bay Area. Ako ay naninirahan sa Daly City sa loob ng 4 na taon. Pumupunta ako sa simbahan alas 8 ng umaga para magsimba.
My name is Leonardo Monteza. I am a leader with Faith in Action Bay Area. I have been living in Daly City for the past 3 years, and I go to church in the area every Sunday at 8 a.m. And I am a renter in a house.
Sinusuportahan ko ang programang ito katulad ko, magkano lang nakukuha ko sa disability. Siguradong madami din katulad kong na mahihirapan na maliliit din ng sahod.
I support this program because for people like me who earn very little through disability, I'm very sure that there are a lot more people that will be affected by this increase.
Tumawag po ako sa CAPI kaninang madaling araw, kaninang umaga. Tumawag ako sa Cash Assistance Program. Sabi nila, titignan pa lang daw, within 6 months, maghihintay po daw ako ng 6 months kung kwalipikado pa po ako o hindi. Kasi disabled ako, I'm stroke. Ngayon, para makita nila ang ebidensya, nagsasahod lang ako, magkano lang, dala ko po yung ano ko sa social. Pwede po makita.
All right. Just to inform you, this morning I called CAPI, or the Cash Assistance Program for Immigrants, and what they told me was that I would get an answer regarding eligibility in 6 months, which is too long for my situation. And just to show you, to share with you my evidence about my how low of an income I have this letter from Social Security stating the amount of monthly income that I earn.
$549 lang po. Yung lupaan ko, 600. Kaya mahirapan din po ako. Kasi kung magtataas pa yung tubig, sigurado yung landlord tataasan din kasi tumaas ang tubig.
So what it says here is that I earn $594.90 every month when my monthly rent is $600. And so it will obviously be very difficult for me knowing that my landlord will increase my rent if water rates increase.
Yun lang po, kagalang-galang na Vice Mayor.
That's it, Honorable Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, may we have Idalida Mamsada? And please correct me if the correct.
Good evening, everybody. Ako po si Adelaida Manansala. na naninirahan sa Daly City. Noong pong una po, nangungupaan po ako ng alagang 400, maliit na kwarto. Tapos po nung mga ilan, ano lang po, tinaas na po nila, ginawa na pong 500 dahil daw po tumas daw po ang tubig, tumas daw po yung kuryente, yung pong ang sabi. Kung ayaw ninyo, umalis ka, sabi po sa akin. Ngayon po, sumapi po ako sa faith in action. Nandito ko po nakita po yung parang minsan naging masigla lang po ako. Pero talaga pong wala po akong nagtrabaho, naghanap ako ng trabaho. Minsan po sa loob ng isang linggo, sa loob ng isang buwan, nakakapagtrabaho lang po 4 na beses, 5 beses lang po. Kaya po talaga pong mahirap po talaga ang buhay. Nahirapan po ako. Kaya po sumapi po ako sa faith dahil po para po nararamdaman ko lang po na maging masaya po ako na lumalabas-labas ako kasi kung nakakulong lang po ako sa kwarto dahil minsan po pag tagulan bumabaha pa po yung kwarto, yung tulugan ko, hindi po ako makatulog dahil po bumaba. Hindi naman po ako makalipat dahil po siyempre po wala naman po akong pangupa, ganun pong inaano ko na para siyempre po lilipat ka na naman. Kaya po talagang ramdam ko po na dahil po walang trabaho, nananungpaan dahil maliit ang kwarto, na alagang 500 na alagang ang inuupahan ko bawat buwan. Yan lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Alright. Dito lang po kayo. My name is Adelaida Manansala, and I am leader with the Faith in Action Bay Area. I have been living in Daly City for the past 4 years, and I started renting out a small room that cost me $500, but after a few months, it increased to $500, and with the landlord justifying the rent increase because of the increase in water rates. I joined Faith in Action, and ever since I joined Faith in Action, it has given me enthusiasm, it has given me joy. I don't have a lot of work. In every given week, I would only work for 4 to 5 times, so it's been very difficult. And so, not every week, but every month rather, I would only have work 4 to 5 times. And so life has been very difficult. And so joining the organization has given me a lot of life. I live in an apartment that gets flooded, and I can't move because I don't have a lot of money to be able to move. And so without a lot of work, it's very hard to pay rent. And so this proposed increase in water rent will really affect me.
Thank you po.
Thank you. And the last speaker on this item is Napoleon Pepena.
Yeah, that's me. Hello, my name is Napoleon Pempena. I am a tenant in Daly City, having lived cumulatively for the past 2 years. I am here to support the proposed program that would protect low-income community members from the raise in water costs, and urge you to ensure that the program will be accessible by tenants and as long-term as possible. From what I have learned and observed in the community meetings through Faith in Action, not only will the increase in water costs directly impact low-income community, but the increase will produce compounded increase in the overall cost of living by raising rent and other goods and services that utilize water. So I support this program as a start, and I urge the City Council to continue doing what they can to stop the burden of cost increases from impacting the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I thank all the speakers that have come up from Faith in Action, also the presentation from our Director Joshua Cosgrove Some comments to date is I want to commend the community for speaking up and sharing their stories, first and foremost, around their needs. As a city, we need to continue to function and ensure that, as you saw in the photographs, there are some capital improvements that need to be done in order to create the sustainability of our water supply. But from hearing from all of you, and that's why this meeting was moved to a later date, the questions that were asked were what programs are available to help those low-income individuals and families. And staff has provided with us today what those state programs are. But what I saw that was truly exceptional with the partnership of hearing your feedback, faith in action in the community, because this will not only help you as an organization, but those in need, was a quick turnaround of staff in creating a program that is a Daly City program, supporting those in need with an area median income of 50% or below. And so what I see today is civic engagement and action, and where good government has been actualized, right? Because in this process, we heard from community members in the audience, and then there was time to respond. So to me, you know, I see this as an opportunity to create a program for those most in need, but also I'm in support of moving forward to ensure that our infrastructure, our water infrastructure for all of the community and those and the sustainability of our community long term happens. And so I think what is at hand as far as the proposal, my concern is also around what I heard from the community, is that if they are not the landlord or the homeowner of the building, can we ensure that we can support the tenants? I see that's something I would probably ask staff to understand programmatically how that would be implemented. But overall, the response from the city staff and also the feedback from community, I think this is what civic engagement is all about, and really just what Daly City is about. So to the residents and the staff, you know, I see myself, and I just want to share with all of you this evening, I see myself voting for this proposal because it's going to be the long-term infrastructure for our community as a whole. But I did vote to push it forward with the exception of hearing what programs that are going to support those most in need. And what I see today is a program that will help those most in need. But I do, with a caveat of understanding how specifically the tenants would be supported, because that I think that's something that I need to understand before moving forward, because that implementation piece is crucial. Because if we're saying we're reaching out to the water bill, and I see this, right? And the water bill goes to the landowner, the homeowner, then how, and then, you know, how, that piece or connection, I need to understand how they would apply and if they would, you know, how they would qualify in that respect. And that's my question in regards to that.
Thank you. Yeah, to help a tenant, the program that we're proposing, it would be one of the other programs that we would have to focus in on. And it would be our work with Daly City Partnership to connect them with that program. The water department, you know, has the connection with the account holder. So if a tenant is not an account holder, and some tenants are and some tenants aren't, but but if the tenant is not the account holder, it is difficult for us to directly provide the assistance. So that's where we would lean on the Daly City Partnership. We would lean on the county, and we would work to connect them with those programs. The gentleman that mentioned about cash immigrants or cash assistance for immigrants, apologize, a 6-month wait, I would want to talk to the county about that. I would want to work with Daly City Partnership to find out about why it takes so long and to try to get that reduced. That would be what I would work on in that specific situation. I hope to catch him before the night is over. But it would be working with Daly City Partnership to connect tenants to these other programs. And then this program that's proposed by staff, it's a beginning, if you will. We did look to see what other agencies are doing and try to mirror that in certain ways. But I would hope that if council does have us implement it, that we would come back in a time period, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, review how that program is working and either, make changes as directed or as needed. But it is a starting point. So that's kind of how we would deal with that.
Okay, thank you for that. So you're saying that this is a starting point, and as far as this particular program that you've proposed, it would be a household, so it would be someone that would be receiving the bill directly.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Well, I think there's definitely going to have to be a review of this program moving forward, because as the program is implemented, there should be a review of the program to see if it's actually reaching those that are most in need, right? And so I think that's something that definitely needs to be reviewed to see how this program is implemented. And so I'm going to open it up to my colleagues at this time. If there's any questions or for staff.
I have comments.
Okay. I will give it over to Council Member Das Magwal, please.
First off, I just want to thank community, especially Faith in Action, for bringing this attention to us. As a person that's on the committee for water, sometimes, like I said in last meeting, I have blinders to my privileges. And sometimes you need to put a human face to things that happen when you have rate increases. I want to thank Josh and the staff and folks at the water for doing their due diligence. I know it was a fast turnaround, but I know how crucial and how important that these rates are. And we see it through the needs for infrastructure and the difficult topography of Daly City in terms of getting water out and clean and drinkable and useful. And also just finding these different resources, from state to county to even coming up with something creative as this water application. And then number 3 is just to mirror what the Vice Mayor was saying, is that I just want to commend you, the staff and folks at Water, for being transparent. I think that's one of the most difficult things when we talk about governance and things that we have in terms of doing changes, is like transparency and what happens. And being transparent is going out into the community and working with the leaders that we have and going out and working with the Franciscan and Faith in Action. I really, really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for reaching out instead of them going to us, we're going out to them. And that speaks volumes, and I'm very proud of that you all did that. I'm also reviewing the application, and I also want to commend you all as well for making it very accessible in terms of like what you need. And to me, I feel like it's fairly easy to go through, but I was just wondering, will this be translated into different languages?
Yes, it will. We are fortunate, well, in the city, but specifically water, wastewater, we do have the ability to translate into, from English into Tagalog, into Spanish, into Chinese.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay,
all those languages.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to having the feedback. I know this is a starting program, but we got to start somewhere, and we will learn from this process. So thank you.
Councilmember Dos Magwal, Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you. Couple of questions for staff. Thank you so much for your presentation thus far. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we deferred this matter. I had requested that we give it 3 months. And I was, actually, I'm quite surprised that we have as much as information that we received tonight, but I have a few questions. The Franciscan Mobile Home Park, why was that location chosen 2 or 3 days before tonight's council meeting?
I was invited by the Faith in Action Bay Area, and I believe they have regular meetings there. So I think that was their regular meeting that they invited me to.
All right, so I understand that that's one particular community. What happened to the homeowners associations that exist around the city to which this water rate rise will affect them as well, such as Southern Hills, the Bay Shore, and other communities within Daly City?
We sent notification out to them, to every homeowners association. I did not receive any feedback from any of them. I wasn't invited. I would be happy to speak to whoever reaches out to me. Like I mentioned, we did reach out to all those homeowners associations and some business groups also through our notifications.
All right, so what I'm hearing, if it wasn't for Faith in Action, you would not have gone out to the Franciscan Mobile Home Park and would have just said that you sent out notices to all the constituents in Daly City. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of Franciscan Mobile Home Park, is it my understanding that they have a water tank there? And if so, are there any problems, or does Daly City provide maintenance on that water tank?
They do have a water tank. It is owned by the Franciscan Mobile Home Park, and they do clean it per regulations. We do not clean it. We do not maintain it. We do provide oversight on it. We do provide assistance. They also have a booster pump station, which we provide the same thing. We will provide assistance to them on operating that station. And but it is all privately owned.
Thank you. When folks in Daly City pay their water bills, where does that money go? I mean, which fund? The general fund? The enterprise fund? Where does that money go?
The water rates that we're talking about tonight would be designated to the water fund, which is an enterprise fund. And that is one of the tricky parts with coming up with assistance program, because it's a enterprise fund, we're precluded by state law from providing assistance programs through the enterprise fund. So that's why one of the things in developing this program, and the finance director was critical in helping us with that, why there's a general fund allocation to help fund the assistance program, because you're precluded by state law to have in an enterprise fund a customer subsidizing another customer. So that's one of the tricky things with these type of programs.
Does the enterprise fund take into account deferred maintenance and planning for deferred maintenance?
Yes, it does. Our capital program, our maintenance program, we try to do what's called predictive maintenance, where we stay on top of the maintenance of the different parts of the system. There are times where we do get behind, which is unfortunate sometimes, but we try to stay on as much as we can. We have an asset management system that really helps us stay on top of the preventative maintenance as much as possible, but we have anywhere from 2 operators to 2 to 4 maintenance personnel every day that are working on the system and maintaining the system.
So in the pictures that you showed on your slide presentation, where you gave some examples of slide number 9, slide number 10, I know we have no control over storms, but you said that we need to increase rates so that we can fix these particular locations of these tanks. So do we not plan, could capital improvement be, funds be allotted to fix these items?
Yes, sir. This reservoir here, the one that the roof was damaged during the winter storms, that was unanticipated, obviously. So we had not had that roof, that project in our existing capital program. So it is what you would call an emergency funded program. It will probably, construction will take place either later on this year or next year. We're designing it right now. This Reservoir 7, that tank is in our long-term program. I believe that's in year 4 to replace that tank. It's going to take a couple years to design it, and then it also takes a couple years to build up the funds to be able to replace that tank. We've allotted in our plan $5 million to replace that tank. So it's a very large expenditure that you want to prepare for over a few years.
All right, thank you. Don't get me wrong, I asked these questions to bring about more transparency to the public in the sense of why we need to move forward and approve these water rate hikes. But in the case of deferred maintenance, that does not bode well with me, because I think we should have adequate planning and not put it on the backs of maintenance. Basically, we have to pay the extra heights because, number one, we're paying more for the water, and number two, you can see the comparison in the charts that Daly City is already low enough. But the thing is, our community needs to understand, like I'm trying to understand, why we need to move forward with this. I don't think that we've done a good enough job in providing community outreach to the folks other than just sending letters. I think more should have been done. I think each individual homeowners association, this is coming up, and maybe we would not have, at least our community would be prepared. If you go through this program, it's going to take 6 months, like we've learned tonight. And now we're trying to put a Band-Aid on it. Well, we'll work with that particular individual. But there are many other people in Daly City who have different needs. That's what I am saying. We should have done more instead of trying to do everything at the last minute. That's what I am saying. Along those lines, I kind of lost my train of thought. Your staff report indicates an allotment from the general fund of $10,000 to assist. According to your original slide, you've helped out 1,008 customers to the tune of $424,000. How is $10,000 going to assist those who are marginalized, very low income? I just can't understand. And I feel I don't have all the information as to possible resources. I see Mr. Nevin, your finance director,
I just wanted to make a comment,
Yes.
Councilmember. The program that you're talking about, finance staff along with water and wastewater staff worked with the state of California. Again, during COVID, in reaction to everything that was going on with COVID, a lot of people, as we saw with rents and other things, were getting behind in their payments. So we saw that with water bills. We were able to take a look at every account in the city and see where people were behind in payments. We put that information together and submitted it to the state, and we were eligible to receive and did receive just over $428,000 at that time. And again, 1,008 accounts were part of that. That is a little bit more than half a year's water bill. They was able to be credited on over 1,000 accounts. And you're right, that's a completely different program than the pilot program that we're talking about. I'll call it a pilot program because it's beginning July 1st. As Director Cosgrove mentioned, that is a program that will be funded out of the general fund. As you asked, all the revenues that are related to these rates go into Fund 41, the water fund. But we are putting aside this amount of money, and as Director Cosgrove mentioned, we'll come back and give updates as to what's going on with the program, how many people are becoming eligible, and have to maybe increase that if the program needs to be increased. So we'll come back to you for your approval at that time when we have more information.
So, Mr. Nevin, thank you so much for that information. I thought your report indicated 424,000 passed. In other words, we've helped 1,008 folks within families or 108 particular applications in Daly City to the tune of 424,000. What is it going forward? Are we still going to apply for that state program and we hope to get more again to assist these folks?
That was one particular program that we were alerted to by the state. Again, went through every water account to see what accounts qualified for that program, submitted the information to the state and received those funds from the state at that time. Our water customers didn't have to pay the $428,000 at that point. Those were deducted from their past due bills, and that money was received by the state and put into Fund 41 into the water account. So the fund was able to be sort of made whole for all those adjustments that were made to those accounts. There are other programs that were mentioned. There's the program, other state program, and the department and my department are looking at all these different programs and trying to participate in any program that we can. But yes, you're right. This was a program that was a specific program. It was in direct response to the COVID pandemic, understanding that people were getting behind in their payments, just like the other programs we mentioned. You can think of that program in a sense as sort of like the state's response, like the federal government's response of ARPA. ARPA was a one-time influx of cash to the state, to the city, excuse me, and this is a similar type of program. But whatever programs the state calls for and lets us know about, staff follows up, staff looks into it. We have meetings with the state and multiple departments in the city when those come up, and that's what I can say about that. But you're right, that was a particular program that was in direct response to the need at the time, and we're talking about now needs moving on into the future, and what do we do about those?
That's actually outstanding because now I understand it more. I'm just wondering if our community understands, based upon what we've heard tonight about that 424,000, 1,008 customers. We thought that was long gone, but there's a possibility that they may still get assistance as we move along, and I'm hoping we do. I'm completely hoping that we do. I think it's an excellent program to which I have to give staff credit to say this was very creative. Rather than a subsidy to come out of our general fund, We won't give a subsidy, but we'll give a credit off the bill. That, what more can you ask for? So I think that was outstanding on staff's part, Mr. Cosgrove. I really appreciate that. One more question and I'm done. How long does someone have to be in arrears before you shut off the water?
That's an easy one to answer. I don't know if the city manager may want to answer, but there has been the direction not to shut off water, period. We work with customers that are having problems, where I mentioned, payment plans and not charging late fees and stuff like that. We do not shut off water, and that's one of the things. When I came over here approximately 10 years ago was drilled into me by Director Piccolotti at the time. We do not shut people's water off. That's life safety, life safety. We work with them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cosgrove. I have no further questions. Job well done.
Thank you very much. I see no other questions from my colleagues at this time. Do we have to open and close the hearing? Okay, it's just communications. Okay, thank you. And now entertain a motion to adopt the resolution by roll call.
I motion to adopt the resolution by roll call.
Okay,
Glenn
second.
Sylvester, second, or it's okay.
Sorry. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Minaldo.
Aye. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Now moving on to item number 15, Airspace subdivision for medical offices at 341 Gellert Boulevard, parcel map PM 03-23-016140.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. This particular item, we are recommending a continuance to July 24th. The applicant is still working with the city on some of the conditions of approval, and we do think we can get those resolved by the 24th of July.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Van Lickhausen. At this time, I motion to move this item to July 24. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, or actually, do we have a roll call or a voice? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. That was very quick. Moving on to item number 16, temporary classroom at please have a seat. Don't move. Hilldale School, 25 Florence Street, use permit UPR-4-23-016182.
And thank you again, Madam Vice Mayor. This request is recommended for tabling. The item that's before you is part of an item that was on the consent agenda. The City Council approved a lease agreement for this school to temporarily relocate to a city facility. And so this approval likely will not be needed, but the applicant has requested a tabling of the item. And so that's our recommendation on that.
Okay, do I have a motion to table item number 16?
Glenn Sylvester, motion.
Okay, have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 17, sign program 79 St. Francis Square Shopping Center use permit UPR-03-23-016129. And we have Mr. Fielding.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, City Council members, and the City Manager. My name is Sam Fielding. I'm the planner from the Planning Division that will be presenting this item. This item before you this evening is the use permit for the St. Francis Square Shopping Center Master Sign Program. The subject property is located at 79 St. Francis Square, and the project site is bordered by Southgate Avenue to the north and St. Francis Boulevard to the west. The subject property is zoned neighborhood commercial in the neighborhood commercial general plan land use designation. The applicant proposes to establish the St. Francis Square Shopping Center Master Sign Program to include tenant signs, directional signage, a pylon sign, monument sign, and a supermarket mural. The project requires a use permit and design review for the Master Sign Program. The signage at the existing shopping center is aged, and the colors and materials have deteriorated due to weather. In addition, the retail shop signs in the shopping center are disorganized and are not uniform in style, size, colors, and materials. The sign program will address these issues. The primary objective of the signage design criteria is to generate high-quality, creative tenant signage. Tenants will be encouraged to combine a variety of materials, lighting methods, colors, type, styles, and graphic elements for unique storefront signage at St. Francis Square, based on the criteria in the Master Sign Program. The signage for the proposed new restaurant and drive-through for the shopping center is included in the Master Sign Program. Going over a little bit of background about this project. This project, the sign program, actually is part of the St. Francis Square Shopping Center update or renovation that received Administrative Design Review Committee approval back on March 6, 2023. This included approval for the demolition and new supermarket construction, a new retail building, and facade improvements to the 3 existing retail buildings. The applicant applied for the use permit and design review for the Master Sign Program. And then on June 6, 2023, the Planning Commission voted to recommend that the City Council approve the design review and use permit for the Master Sign Program for the St. Francis Square Shopping Center. 2 conditions of approval were added by the recommendation of the Planning Commission. One was that all metal materials used for the signage and lighting shall be rust-proof, anodized aluminum or galvanized steel. And then the hours of operation for construction work was added to the conditions of approval. The Master Sign Program includes a monument sign, pylon sign, primary anchor signage and mural, retail shop tenant signage, and restaurant with drive-through signage. The details on the signage are included in the staff report. The proposed sign text and height areas will conform to the Chapter 17.32 of the Zoning Code Sign Development Standards. This is a sort of a brief summary of the proposed sign standards. They basically focus on a variety and diversity of signs being encouraged for the location, including colors or design among tenants. Signs with creative name and or logo are encouraged. The wall signs shall appear balanced and in scale in the context of the sign space and the building. The sign copy and graphic elements should fit comfortably in the sign area. Thickness and height and color of the sign lettering shall be visually balanced in proportion to the building. No signage will be lower than 8 feet above finished grade. And then for the sign lighting, the primary anchor tenant of the supermarket will use face illuminated signs, and all retail shop tenant signs and the new restaurant signage shall be halo illuminated signage. These are some photos of the existing site. This was the previous supermarket, Pacific Supermarket, which was demolished and is under construction. These are some site photos showing the east side of the shopping center that you can see the facades and the different signs located on the face of the retail buildings. You can see there's sort of a variety of different signage, and that's part of this program is to make the signs bring some uniformity to the signage and the area and the location of the signage. So these are the sign exterior colors and materials. The monument and pylon signs will have aluminum metal cladding for the monument sign bases and the pylon sign with a 1/2-inch acrylic embedded LED letters. There'll be a brick veneer for the base of the monument and pylon signs. And then the anchor tenant, which is the seafood supermarket, will have face illuminated signs. Again, the halo illuminated wall signs will be for the retail shop tenants, and the drive-through restaurant will have the halo illuminated signage. This slide shows the tenant logo and copy layout specifications. This is the proposed site plan. It shows the location of all the new signage and the replacement locations. The pylon and monument signs, the restaurant drive-through wayfinding signage is shown in this slide. The pylon sign is located at the northwest corner. So on the slide of the northwest image there is where the pylon sign will be located. And then to the right there at the entrance driveway from St. Francis Boulevard, you have the monument sign. These are the elevations of the anchor tenant signs. This is the supermarket. This is the mural location, and staff has a condition of approval that the applicant will work with planning staff to review and approve the artwork design of the mural with a historic and cultural theme reflecting Daly City's Filipino culture. This is the retail signs for the first building, indicating the signage locations, the square footage. This is the retail shop building 2, north elevation. The west elevation for the retail shop building. This is building 3. Showing how the signage will be located above each unit, the retail building. And this is the new retail building, east elevation, showing the locations of the proposed signage for building 4. This is the restaurant signage of building 5. This is the proposed new restaurant with drive-through. This is the slide shows the pylon sign. It will have an overall height of 22 feet with a face area of 51 square feet. All the dimensions are within the parameters outlined in the Daly City sign ordinance. And the sign's exterior finishes will coordinate with the newly proposed wood siding and brick veneer utilized by the supermarket. The proposed sign design incorporates internally illuminated tenant panels with polycarbonate faces and translucent vinyl graphics. The monument sign has an overall height of 6 feet with a face area of 39.10 square feet. Again, all the dimensions are within the parameters of the Daly City sign ordinance. Like the pylon sign, the monument sign's brick veneer base exterior is intended to coordinate with the wood siding and brick veneer utilized by the supermarket. The proposed sign design incorporates the internally illuminated tenant panels with polycarbonate faces and translucent vinyl graphics. The entry monument sign will also have illuminated copy to read St. Francis Square. And these are the tenant sign types. This is for the face illuminated signage for the market tenant. And these are the halo illuminated signage allowed for all tenants. This is the drive-through signage. It's the menu signage. And then the drive-through signage clearance bar. So this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15301, Existing Facilities, Class 1, in that the shopping center master sign program involves defining the sign criteria for the minor alteration of an existing private structures involving negligible or no expansion of the existing or former use. Staff finds that the project is consistent with the city's general plan designation and zoning. Daly City Code sections, Chapter 17.32, 17.44, and 17.45, and the project is exempt pursuant to CEQA, Section 15301, Existing Facilities. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the use permit and design review for the St. Francis Square Shopping Center Master Sign Program. This concludes staff's presentation, and we are available along with the applicant to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. At this time, I'd like to ask my colleagues if they have any comments. Doctor?
Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. The northwest corner of Southgate,
Yes.
that's what I'm referring to. Is there going to be a pylon sign there? Is that the one you indicated, 22 feet?
Yes, yes.
And under section 1745 of the code for Daly City, design review, was there any criteria or requirements for illumination of the signs? How many lumens?
Well, I mean, in general, we do have, yeah, there are criteria, and in general, for the type of signage that of tenants, planning recommends halo illuminated type signage. And then for the supermarket, since it's a larger anchor tenant, we're doing the face illuminated signage.
Yeah, okay, but that didn't answer the question. Lumens, how bright?
Can you assist with that?
Sure. Council member, there are no regulations as to the maximum number of lumens that can be associated with the sign. What we do sometimes is require that the sign can be dimmable if what you're getting at is the impact to some of the neighbors. Given the location of this sign, we can add that as a condition of approval if you so desire, if the council would desire that.
Okay. Actually, you hit it right on point, Mr. Lunkhausen, because that was a concern I have, especially for the northwest corner, because it's completely residential. And if you've driven down Juniper Serra, heading southbound towards Coma, prior to hitting Home Depot there's a sign that is pretty tall. I don't know how many lumens it is, but given the weather criteria of Daly City with neighboring cities like Coma, that the fog completely lights up the area late at night. And that's a concern I have for the residents in the area, because they would be subject to the same sort of lighting, and not to have any information as to how bright it is or how long the sign will stay on. I mean, I guess there's a term, dusk to dawn. So would that mean it comes on at dusk and it stays on till dawn? I'm just asking a question.
Certainly, that sounds like what that would mean. We can also control the hours that the signs are on, controlling, that they go off after a certain hour without trying to negotiate that right here. We can make sure that it's at a reasonable hour when the last store closes, sort of thing, perhaps 10 p.m. and not turn off after that. But we can add a condition of approval requiring the lights, that the signs either be dimmable or that the lettering be of a certain, like, push through or cutout style. The drawing on the right sort of shows this actually with the gray background, trying to control some of the luminance, if you will, coming through. But we can definitely work on a condition of approval to address that concern, because it's a very valid one.
Thank you. I have no further.
Well, I just want to say that these recommendations are very exciting. I know I used to live in that area, and now seeing like an update and renovation to that certain property will provide some, spectacle to it. So I really excited for this incoming project. The question that I want to ask, or inquiry, is the mural. Is there a reason why it's just only, I know 43 feet is pretty long, but I was just like thinking that as a person that has traveled to different places in America, like comparing it to the LA mural in Filipino town in Los Angeles, their mural is about 140 feet. And I know that, I think it's page 9 on, there you go. Is there a possibility you could expand it from being 43 feet to something even longer?
Yes, that's an option. We could expand that. I think we, in working with the applicant, we wanted to provide some detail, like architectural detail to that wall, so that it wasn't such a long wall. And so we'd work with them to propose sort of this trestle design to be spaced there for that portion of the wall.
Because I don't know, my preference would be to expand it past those 2 trestles, or even to the 3rd trestle. And I think that given the fact that Daly City, known as like Pinoy capital, it'll be something that would be really historical, and having an anchored mural there that people can come not only to buy groceries, but entice them to understand not just this a generic representation of like Filipinos in Daly City, but I would love to see folks like leaders that have came and are here, like such as like Alice Bolos or Tita Perla or Violeta Marsigan, or the history of like Filipino-American mobile DJs that blew up in Daly City. But I'd like to see it expanded, if that's possible.
Thank you, Councilmember. We can absolutely do that. Yeah, possibly to the 2nd trestle. We're trying to maintain balance, and
right.
And we could also potentially drop it, make it significantly larger. That shouldn't be a problem. This is an illuminated mural too. See the light.
Oh, it's illuminated mural. Oh, it's not a painted mural?
It's a painted mural, but it's illuminated by gooseneck lighting.
Oh, okay, I get it. I see those little things on top.
Yeah.
So it's the thing that kind of hovers. Got it.
So it should be quite nice. And the applicants have been very generous in working with us on this.
Okay. And I think it'd be really awesome. I mean, also being very close to SF State, we have access to Filipino American historians that can help inform what the mural may look like, and the community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Dasmagwal. Being on, I think was it the design review? This came through during the design review, right? And so seeing it now here at the council, a lot of the comments that were brought forth, where is that coming from? Oh, it's okay. I was like, that it was incorporated. I think I sat on the design review with Councilmember Dasmagwal in regards to this, and also just looking at the overall plan. And one of the items that did come through.
Can you turn on your mic?
Oh, Is it not on? Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you so much. I was just talking about earlier how this went through design review with Councilmember Das Magwal and I am glad to see that the commentary that we've provided is here on the presentation. One was just making sure, I think we did make a comment around making sure that this side of the property, because there was nothing actually there at all, and it was going to be like maybe, I don't know, it was like gray, brownish wall. And when we looked at it, we knew that that was an opportunity to provide some cultural aspects, especially since Seafood City, for those of you watching in the audience or on TV, is actually like a Philippine, like Asian grocery mart, right? And so, but in relation to what Councilmember Das Magwal mentioned, that the history of Filipino Americans and having that mural, I will concur with my colleague that when I see it, I thought like it would be larger so that it could be seen from further away. I like how that there is illumination with the lights, but I agree with it being larger. I think I mentioned also that it would also draw attention. I think a lot of youth and young people, I mean, I'll talk about it now, the Instagram world, right? It's really like to bring forth also just having more of these cultural murals and just even the Daly City one on top of the hill. I mean, it's an opportunity to shed light on Daly City as a city as well. And so I like the option of expanding it. I'll definitely agree with that. And I'm glad that it has continued from the direction of the committee, Design Review Committee. We did have a question. I'm glad that it was brought forth by Councilmember Sylvester. I'm in agreement in regards to the lighting. All around that vicinity is residents, actually. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think just understanding what that will feel like. Although I also agree with my colleague, Councilman Das Magwal. It's just having that perfect balance of like making sure it's not bright and intrusive to the resident. But I love the refreshed look. You know, I mean, I think we can all agree it was already kind of a stale sign, and like even the property itself is long overdue to bring some freshness, and so I think with those two recommendations, I would be in support of it, and having those conditions of approvals mentioned.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And so is it a hearing? It's just is there any public comment on this item, please? Madam City Clerk? No. Having no public comment, thank you so much to staff. Thank you both for your presentations at this moment. Thank you, Mr. Fielding. I move to approve item number 17. Do I have a second?
Second.
Just as clarification, the motion did add the conditions as noted by Councilmember Sylvester.
Move to approve item number 17, sign program 79 St. Francis Square Shopping Center use permit UPR 0323016129 with the conditions of approval mentioned today in regards to the elimination of the lights, as well as the expansion of the Filipino mural, having a community process. And I think you seconded Councilmember Das Magwal. And so at this time, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Rod?
Yes.
Mr. Sylvester?
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye.
As a point of clarification on the design of the mural, the applicant will work with the staff, and we'll take some of the recommendations that you've made for contacts on that and incorporate that. It may even be possible that at some point we can show you what it will look like. But that's what our plan was for actually getting that designed.
Okay, great. So that process would go through the design review, or is it going through the council? I mean, eventually the council, but.
Well, the ultimate design would be as approved by staff, but like I mentioned, we can show it to you and make sure we're all on board with it. I think it's something that's very positive for the community, and I think we'll all be happy with it. The applicant's fully committed to doing a quality piece of work here, and they do understand the importance to the council.
That's great. I think if possible, we can do it out through the mayor when he's here. We can ask him to do an ad hoc committee, maybe with a design review, and then in that respect. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
I think, yeah. All right. Item number 19. Oh, no. Item number 18. They're all staying here.
Stay put.
So new restaurant and drive-through, 79 St. Francis Square Shopping Center, use permit UPR 1-22-15498 and design review DR-7-22-15775. Mr. Fielding.
Good evening. The item before you is a design review and use permit for a new restaurant and drive-through located in the St. Francis Square Shopping Center. The proposed restaurant and drive-through would be located on the northwest corner of St. Francis Square at the southeast intersection of St. Francis Boulevard and Southgate Avenue, roughly located where the star symbol is on the slide. The subject property is zoned neighborhood commercial in the neighborhood commercial general plan land use designation. This project proposal was also part of the, is a design review and use permit review required to build a new 2,480 square foot fast food restaurant and drive-through located on the northwest corner of the shopping center. The restaurant will provide 11 spaces, including 2 accessible spaces as required by code. And the entitlements are the use permit and the design review permit. Other permits that were completed under separate review was the administrative design review for the shopping center renovation project approved by the Design Review Committee on March 6, 2023. This included the facade improvements for buildings 1, the seafood supermarket, and then the exterior facade improvements for the existing retail buildings, numbers 2 and 3, and the new retail building, number 4. Some background on this project is proposed new restaurant and drive-through, part of the St. Francis Square Shopping Center renovation project. Again, as I just mentioned, the facade improvements. The project also includes parking lot repaving, restriping, landscaping, and new light fixtures. This was approved on the administrative design review permit on March 6, 2023. On June 6, 2023, the Planning Commission voted to recommend that the City Council approve the use permit and design review permit for the new restaurant and drive-through. Wanted to go over the public comment that staff received. We received 2 letters of public comment, one from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee and one from the Daly City resident, Melinda Hugh, who is also a PPAC member. She expressed concerns about bicycle and pedestrian safety near the drive-through. So staff did respond to these comments. A consultant has prepared a traffic study, and this was completed and reviewed by the traffic engineering staff. And the study found no significant impacts to bicycle and pedestrian safety from the restaurant drive-through project. The applicant addressed potential queuing concerns for the drive-through, and the project includes all required upgrades to sidewalks, driveways, and pedestrian path of travel crossings for the restaurant and drive-through. These are existing site photos taken February 2023 for the proposed restaurant and drive-through located on the northwest corner of St. Francis Square Shopping Center. This is the existing site plan. The proposed site plan. And this is the location, enlarged site plan of location of the restaurant. The restaurant, again, would have 11 parking spaces, including 2 accessible parking spaces. And you can also see in this site plan a conceptual queuing of the vehicles. It shows you where the vehicle queuing could occur for the restaurant, if needed. This is the proposed floor plan.
Can you go back to the queuing area, if you don't
Yes.
mind? So where cars would enter via Southgate?
Yes, they would enter through Southgate Avenue entrance, driveway entrance, and then they would proceed west.
And they would exit?
They would exit down below on the south side of the restaurant.
I see that, but where's the egress for them to exit after?
I have to go to the other site. plan.
Okay.
So the driveway, there's an entrance driveway off of Southgate Avenue near the supermarket. And then there's the driveway coming in from St. Francis Boulevard on the west side.
So, that egress on St. Francis remains? Is that the one that goes up the hill?
Yes, that's the one that comes down from the hill.
Okay. So that's where they could exit and enter?
Yes.
As well as from the Southgate Avenue entrance. There's an existing curb cut right where the drive-through is that would be removed. So that the access ways to the drive-through restaurant would be the same as for the shopping center. The ramp on St. Francis, as well as right by the mural on Southgate. So there's vehicle queuing capacity inside the parking lot, essentially, also. Although the traffic studies indicated that's not necessary, but if it was, there's little chance that traffic would back out into the city street.
Okay, thank you.
Because of the depth of the restaurant in the site.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the color and materials. The proposed new restaurant and drive-through is designed to be architecturally compatible with the supermarket and retail buildings in the shopping center and the neighborhood character of the project site. The new restaurant exterior building finishes include light gray paint and light green for the exterior walls, cedar board and batten siding painted brown, and dark brown for the roof line trim. The base of the building will consist of stone veneer, and portions of the south and east elevation exterior will consist of dark brown corrugated metal. The south and east elevations will have black metal canopy installed above the windows with recessed LED lighting. There will be steel trellises located on the west, south, and east elevations to break up the wall space. LED gooseneck down light fixtures will be installed above the trellises and the signage. And the windows will consist of clear anodized aluminum painted black. This is a slide of the proposed elevations with the exterior colors and materials shown. And this is some more information on the parking and traffic analysis that was done for the shopping center. The traffic analysis and the parking study was completed by city consultants. Parking demand analysis determined that the maximum parking demand would be 226 and 250 spaces on weekdays and Saturday. The proposed parking supply of 262 spaces would accommodate project peak parking demand for the shopping center. And the restaurant will have 11 parking spaces, including 2 accessible spaces. Staff concluded that the vehicle trips generated by the project would not cause an adverse effect on traffic operations at the adjacent St. Francis Boulevard, Southgate Avenue intersection, and the shopping center driveways. And this is a slide showing the parking site plan configuration. This is, again, the similar slide showing the restaurant drive-through queuing. So this was analyzed in the traffic study, and the consultants determined that the Chowking restaurant could be expected to have a maximum drive-through queue of 7 vehicles on a weekday and 11 vehicles on a Saturday, including 5 vehicles queued at the pickup window and 6 vehicles queued at the ordering board. The site plan shows that the drive-through lane would be approximately 200 feet in length between the pickup window and the entrance of the drive-through lane, which can accommodate a queue of about 8 vehicles. Chowking staff would use traffic cones during the peak periods to direct drive-through traffic to continue past the first east-west drive aisle after entering the site from Southgate Avenue to ensure that any excess drive-through queue is contained within the parking lot and does not impede traffic entering the shopping center from Southgate Avenue. This will be added a condition of approval for the project. So the traffic operation analysis for the proposed restaurant drive-through shows that the vehicle trips generated by the project would not cause an adverse effect on the traffic operations of the adjacent St. Francis Boulevard, Southgate Avenue intersection and the project driveway. This is a slide showing the landscape planting for the shopping center. Will include new landscaping that includes a variety of trees and large shrubs, perennials, ground covers, and vines spread throughout the shopping center and along the border areas of the shopping center. There would be a total of 129 trees, 1,387 shrubs, perennials, and ground covers, and 8 vines. Staff has determined that the project is exempt from CEQA in accordance with Section 15303C. Staff finds that the project is consistent with the city's general plan and that the granting the use permit for a restaurant with drive-through is a compatible use with the shopping center. The project is in accordance with chapters 17.44, 17.45, and 17.34 of the Daly City Municipal Code. And again, the project is exempt from CEQA per section 15303, class 3C. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the use permit and design review permit for the new restaurant and drive-through at 79 St. Francis Square Shopping Center. This concludes staff's presentation. The staff and the applicant are available to answer questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation on this, Mr. Fielding. I will now ask my colleagues if they have any questions or comments.
I just have one question. Are there any other Chowkings that have drive-throughs in either franchises throughout the United States?
I believe there is another location in the Bay Area, right? I'd have to find, I could ask the applicant. They may know.
You can have the applicant
Yeah.
come up. Are they here? Yeah, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Council. Bill Beebe from Amore Architectural Corporation. I want to thank staff for the tremendous job they've done in keeping us in line with the city codes and moving the project along. As far as another Chowking, I'm not the traffic engineer, and I'm trying to remember now what they said in their report. I don't think that they have one in the Bay Area. I don't believe that they have a drive-through.
Okay, thank you. So that answers the question. You have a continuity?
No, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Sylvester.
The ingress of vehicles coming into Chowking would be made via the South Gate entry driveway. Is that correct?
Yes, that, it would be primarily through that entrance, but there is the other entrance on St. Francis into the shopping center also.
And that driveway is 30 feet wide.
I'd have to look exactly at the.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. It says 30 feet.
Okay, it's 30 feet wide.
Okay.
If that's what it says, yes, it is.
And do you know how long a normal vehicle is, front to tail? 8, 10 feet?
Councilmember, we actually do keep statistics like that. They're closer to 16 feet long.
16 feet?
14 to 16 feet long, yes.
14 to 16 feet. And what's the distance from the entry of the driveway to looks like a handicap spot on the northwest corner?
We will try and provide an estimate there.
There you go. So when you got the last vehicle on your diagram, what's the distance between that area and the entry of the parking lot?
The entry of the parking lot.
We're going to guesstimate that at about 20 feet.
20 feet,
Just eyeballing it.
just eyeballing it. Okay, so if the average vehicle is 14 feet wide, divided by, that leaves approximately six feet. When I think the diagram is probably not to scale, I think there's actually more space for the queuing up of vehicles before you hit that spot.
Yes, Councilmember, that may be the case. These sorts of analyses tend to be conservative. There's freeboard on either side of the vehicle also that's taken into account. And yeah, the cars might not be perfectly to scale.
Okay. The order position in relationship to the building, where is that?
So the order location is at the entryway on the north side of the building.
The entryway.
So the entry, the drive-through
Okay,
entrance.
speaker post with detector loop. That's probably the ordering, that's probably the ordering position.
Yep.
So basically, they would say, I think you had made mention no more, about 7 or 8 vehicles in the queue?
That's correct. That's the distance from the ordering, the order intake to the
Pickup.
delivery window.
As I see, it comes out to 8. Thank you. So the traffic analysis done by, was it Hydro?
Hexagon?
Hexagon, right.
Yes.
Okay, did they do the one for in and out on Washington and Sullivan? I mean,
I'm not sure who did that one.
That was many years ago. I doubt it was Hexagon.
oh, okay.
Councilmember.
All right, well, I feel a little bit uncomfortable in the sense that that the novelty at the opening is really going to severely impact the traffic going eastbound on Southgate from St. Francis. Generally, a novelty will wear off, but folks in Daly City, they love their stores, and they, especially when you can just drive through. And I know it's my feeling that we're going to have a problem with that traffic because I don't have enough information as to the queuing and of vehicles. And if the map is incorrect, is not to scale. At this time, it would only appear to me with the 2 vehicles at the speaker post behind the vehicle at the speaker post. That's 2, and then it looks like under this map you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 more vehicles to add in addition, but it appears to be not to scale, and I have a concern about that. So I'm not ready to move on this unless I can give a more concrete answer.
I can give you a
Because I'm
concrete
concerned
answer.
about queue up. Yes, sir.
The plan is to scale.
I'm sorry?
The plan is to scale. It's drawn in AutoCAD. The cars are to scale.
So subsequently, in looking at that, am I correct in assuming behind the last vehicle, you have space for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 5 vehicles?
Are you counting the distance to Southgate Avenue entrance? Is that what you're?
Southgate, absolutely.
That looks approximately true.
Thank you.
And you're right, when stores first open, you're right, the novelty does cause some traffic. That is true, but we do expect that to dissipate over time. Applying the situations with our in and outs to this probably isn't the most accurate. It's in and out, it's its own thing. We receive calls from other cities that are looking at approving in and out and Chick-fil-A, and those two are kind of a different animal than
Yeah.
we believe this to be.
You believe that this will be
This particular proposal, that the Chowking will likely not cause the same traffic impacts in the long term as those two brands that
Okay.
have been issues.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
No further questions. Thank you very much, staff, and also the applicant for answering questions of my colleagues. I think what the concerns that were brought up, or the concerns around traffic queuing and just ensuring, like, I think when my colleague, Councilmember Dasmagwal brought up, is there another, drive-through? I was seeing maybe there's a model or to look at as far as like the amount of interest in a drive-through. Is there a Chowking in the South San Francisco? Is there one in there?
Yes.
There is? Okay, and that one doesn't have a drive-through. So I guess looking at demand, there's one there that's an sit-in restaurant. This one is a drive-through. Yeah.
We also, staff does have a condition of approval that during peak periods, the Chowking staff would use traffic cones and, be actively out there sort of controlling the traffic so that it doesn't extend past the driveway entering it from Southgate Avenue to ensure that the queue is contained within the parking lot. So that is a condition of approval if that situation were to occur, during peak demand with the queuing. But the traffic analysis that was done by the consultant, their conclusion was that they felt that there was enough space to handle the demand for the queuing for the restaurant.
Okay. I mean, that's a condition of approval in regards to having an employee manage the traffic. Is that it? Or you're saying putting cones? Is it just putting cones out, or will there be someone directing the traffic?
Yes, well, they'll ensure that it doesn't go out into, because I noted that council members' concern was queuing, like spilling out into the Southgate Avenue. So they would ensure that we have a condition of approval that they'll ensure that does not happen, like that
You mean they'll block the
queuing is contained within
I
the
see.
shopping area. So if they were out there and saw that, they would wait people to go around, or, they would.
Oh, to go into the shopping center.
Yeah, or to
and
go in the
around.
other entrance, they would be actively ensuring that there isn't queuing coming back
I
out
see.
into Southgate Avenue. That's one of the conditions. And if that were observed, we would remind the applicant or the owners that they need to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Okay, thank you. You know, on St. Francis Boulevard, there's a lot of, I would say, people coming down that hill, right? Given the fact that there's going to be probably more people coming down towards St. Francis, you know, actually a lot of people like speed down that hill, right? Because you're coming from the freeway. I'd like to know if there was any indication, like, because that could bring forth more drivers to go towards St. Francis Square, and the people, you know, I've heard residents say, like, everyone just, I mean, it's very easy, you're up that hill, and then they speed down. So I'd like to know if the traffic study included the demand and in regards to the safety piece. I mean, obviously, there was 2 letters around bicycle pedestrian safety, so I wanted to understand if that was even looked at.
I don't believe the traffic analysis included any sort of a speed analysis. That would normally, the traffic analysis is usually related more to the traffic volume, but not necessarily the speeds.
I see. Okay, well, I think there's a condition of approval that states that there is going to be a staff person in queuing and I think that's already kind of looking ahead to the potential situation that we have seen when Krispy Kreme and In-N-Out, you're right, is an anomaly because it's still like the traffic there continues. But I see Director Chu, do you have a comment?
Yes, thank you.
Please.
Through the chair, if I may. One of the things that we look at in regards to traffic queuing is to make sure that the queue does not extend out to the public right-of-way. One of the unique features of this location is that there's multiple entrances to the mall. And so, as was mentioned, if the queue does end up exceeding what was originally planned, there are measures in place to make sure that the queuing remains inside the shopping center and not impacting the public right-of-way. Similar to Sermani Chick-fil-A, also many of you, the Costco gas stations, they have similar measures where if one of the queue extends, then they cone off one of the driveways so that they go further down, and then there's additional queuing room inside the shopping center. So that was looked at the staff level with the designer's traffic consultant. So.
Well, okay, that's great. Well, seeing no other questions or comments, thank you to staff, thank you to applicant. I entertain a motion to adopt the resolution. Okay, I move to approve the resolution. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, I have a second. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvester,
Prior to my vote, I'm just going to make a comment. There are 16 Chowking locations in the United States, and I've been on the map, and I just searched for approximately 6 locations. None of them have a drive-through. So with that being said, I'm going to vote no.
Ms. Manalo.
Aye. I think I need to understand what the quorum is, city attorney, in this respect.
Sure. With respect to the motion that was made, you need to have 3 affirmative votes to approve the use permit.
Okay, well, so with that,
I do have a question, Michael. Is the use permit in respect to the drive-through or for the restaurant?
It is. It is with respect to the drive-through.
Okay.
The city council could also elect to continue the item for us to gain more information for you.
I'd do a friendly amendment if I may. I do a friendly amendment to entertain to move this item to the next council meeting. Can we do that with the?
Yes, you can do an amendment to make a motion to continue this item to a date certain. That's a motion made by the Vice Mayor. We need a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second.
So with this, we would probably need to have a roll call vote. You don't need 3 affirmative votes with respect to a motion to continue on a secondary motion.
Okay. May I have we don't need a roll call vote?
We should have a roll call
Okay,
vote.
roll call. Madam City Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Dr. Rod?
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester?
No.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye.
Okay, so we do have a motion to continue this item to the next council meeting, which is July 10th.
Okay, so we'll move, item is moved to the next council meeting on July 10th. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now moving on to item number 19, award of construction contract for the Southgate and School Safety, Street Safety Improvement Project. Hello, Director Chu.
Yes, good evening, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Brings me great pleasure to introduce one of our new engineers to you, Eric Reyes. He will be doing the presentation tonight.
Good evening, Honorable Vice Mayor and City Council. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the design documents for the Southgate Avenue and School Street Safety Improvements Project, affirm the NEPA determination of categorical exclusion, and the CEQA determination of categorical exemption. Accept all bids and award a construction contract to Golden Bay Construction of Hayward, California, in the amounts of $465,269.50, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary contracts to complete the project. The purpose of the Southgate Avenue and School Street Safety Improvements Project is to increase pedestrian visibility along 2 corridors identified as on the city's high injury network. The project includes installation of striping and thermoplastic markings and application of slurry seal. The construction bid documents were prepared by city staff. The project was advertised on May 3, 2023, and 2 bids were received on May 25, 2023 for $465,269.50 and $516,838. The bid submitted by Cato's General Engineering did not include all the required forms and is considered non-responsive. The outcome of the results was not affected by the non-responsive bid. The apparent low bidder, Golden Bay Construction of Hayward, California, has been in business since 1983. This bidder holds a required Class A contractor's license, which is current and in good standing. The contractor's references for work performed for other public agencies are acceptable, including the cities of South San Francisco, San Bruno, and Redwood City. The low bid for this project is 9.7% higher than the engineer's estimate. Staff compared the unit prices in the bid proposal with similar resurfacing projects that the city recently awarded and determined that the unit prices submitted are reasonable in this current construction industry market. If approved, it is anticipated that the Southgate Avenue and School Street Safety Improvements Project would begin construction in July 2023 and be completed by January 2024. The total estimated construction cost for the Southgate Avenue and School Street Safety Improvements Project is $554,000, including $465,269.50 for the construction contract award, as well as an additional $88,730.50 for construction contingency and contract administration. Sufficient funds are available in the Transportation Fund Project Account 17-312-871 to fully fund this construction contract. In conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council approve the design documents for the Southgate Avenue and School Street Safety Improvements Project, affirm the NEPA determination of categorical exclusion and the CEQA determination of categorical exemption, accept all bids and award a construction contract to Golden Bay Construction of Hayward, California in the amount of $465,269.50 and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary contracts to complete the project. Staff is available to provide any additional information desired by the mayor or city council members.
Thank you so much for the presentation on this. At this time, let me turn on my mic. At this time, I'm yielding to my colleagues to see if they have any questions or comments on this award of construction contract for Southgate.
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Reyes. Your first paragraph, when you started off, you made mention, was it high injury network?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The high injury network is determined out of our Vision Zero plan. And these are corridors where a majority of the serious injuries occurred. So there's about, 83% of the serious injuries occurred on about 17% of our roads. And those are the high injury network roads that we pay some special attention to when we try to increase safety.
So the purpose of what's before us tonight, correct me if I'm wrong, is to help mitigate the potential of accidents or reduce injuries.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, okay. I made mention of that because I heard that same term in the previous one that we just discussed, the drive-through on the Chow King, and it seems like it's the same thing. They're both classified. One says that it's a potential because Southgate has been identified as a high injury network, but yet we're trying to mitigate it. But at the same time, that's completely past now, but it's within the same area. So I just wanted to bring that point up. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. In regards to Southgate Avenue and the school safety street improvements project, can you explain the longevity or how long Southgate, where exactly that project?
For Southgate Avenue, it is from St. Francis Boulevard until Sullivan Avenue. And for School Street, it's from Junipero Serra Boulevard to Mission Street.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think the award of the construction is so important. We know that, the pedestrian safety and school safety, as I mentioned earlier, in regards to the speed of cars. And so in that respect, in the speed of cars going down St. Francis, would there be an opportunity, Director Chu, or where would that opportunity lie for just the speed at which people go down that hill? I know this is for, I understand what this is for a construction contract. I'm just understanding where the placement towards a request for a speed study, since it's around the safety of that area.
Yeah, Madam Vice Mayor, I think in terms of the hill you're referring to, I think that's St. Francis coming down.
Yeah.
In terms of St. Francis, we have done some modifications there not too long ago in regards to some additional bike lanes that was installed, striped bike lanes, help narrow the travel lane. That should help with some of the speeding situation that may have been out there. We do continue to monitor some of our roads, also get input from the public in regards to areas of concern. And then as necessary, we work with our PD, oftentimes in terms of speed trailers, doing public outreach, education. Most of you may be aware, we're wrapping up our Vision Zero plan as well, outreach and education. So that's also part of the traffic calming and education piece of it. So there's definitely more of that to come. One of the things that you just included, approved at the consent calendar, was creating a Vision Zero toolkit to also help further the improvements proposed for safety. So there's a lot of different components that's worked into it. There is a lot of streets throughout the city that there's a lot of attention that may be needed, and that's why we're trying to come up with this toolkit. So there's multi-prongs and efforts in terms of working on some of those concerns.
Well, thank you so much, Director Chu, for that. And it definitely is a multi-prong approach to ensure the safety and pedestrian safety, bicycle safety. And so I know that you've mentioned the process in which the construction contract has gone through and explained the bidding process. And so with that, I motion to approve the item number 18. Do I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call vote, please, Madam City Clerk?
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now we are moving on to appointments of boards and commissions. Are there any appointments of boards and commissions? Seeing none by my colleagues. Now moving on to council committee. Are there any reports on council committee?
I have a very brief one. Peninsula Clean Energy. We just had our CEO, Jan Pepper, who will be planning to step down by end of this month. And in the beginning of the fiscal year, or PCE will be hiring Sean Marshall. Yeah, so Sean Marshall was the director Sean Marshall, she was the COO and was brought into PCE last May. And before she joined PCE, she was instrumental in the establishment of CCA markets, where she was the director of the CCA Market Development and External Affairs at Calpine Energy Solutions, and a founder and board member of Marin Clean Energy and California's first community choice aggregate. It was the first California choice aggregation agency. She's also the founder and executive director of Lean Energy US, a national organization that provides resources and market expertise to state and local governments and other organizations. She was also the former mayor of the city of Mill Valley, and was also a former business consultant and former community development manager at the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. So she comes with a vast amount of experience, and she'll be replacing Jan Pepper at the beginning of this fiscal year, July 1st.
Thank you very much. That's you. Thank you for that update in regards to a change of leadership. Do you have any council committee reports, Council Member Sylvester?
Yes, I do. I have two. The first one I'd like to start off is with the Mosquito Vector and Control District. The board approved the final engineer's report on confirming the diagram which pertains to assessments for mosquito abatement, which will levy the assessments for the next fiscal year, 23 to 24, for the North and West County Mosquito Disease Control Assessment District. So it's going to be a slight raise for that, so you'll be hearing more of that. Like to bring awareness about mosquito awareness, and this is the month for it, and other cities have given proclamations to the Mosquito Vector Control District. And lastly, on mosquito vector control, Kat Lyon, our vice chair, has just been appointed or by the board to represent as a voting member on the LAFCO, LAFCO board. The other report I have, I'm on the committee for the Emergency Services Council, and two quick things I wanted to bring up in there. One was that was very important to me, well, it meant a lot to me, was our next door neighbor Pacifica, who's represented by Supervisor Ray Mueller, brought up an issue called CRISP, which will go into looking into how to increase the infrastructure that Pacifica is dealing with. For instance, internet connectivity and addressing the needs of evacuation. They only have one road going in and out of Pacifica, well, coming from the north, and other issues. And it's a study which is long overdue, and it's now been approved. Emergency Services Council is going to provide, I believe it's $200,000 to begin this study. Also, the Emergency Services Council uses 4 vehicles which were hand-me-downs, some vehicles as much as 15 years old. And I try to get them to move to electric vehicles. They're considering it, but they're going to purchase 2 new vehicles. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Council Member Sylvester. Are there any City Council reports at this time? Council Member Sylvester?
City Council. Oh, is that the next one?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you have any?
Yeah, basically not a report, but a request. This is basically the third request. I've been reading up on the many housing plans coming up, to which one of them that I read recently, and I'm going to learn more, read up more on it, requires that a statement is put into the housing element plan that the use of prevailing wages needs to be included. However, I've requested, this is the third time, to modify or to include the issue pertaining to union labor and request union labor. And I think we vote on that, we should vote on it as a council. So I'm waiting for an update on that, when that's going to be brought before this council. The second on litigation on King Plaza and Classic Bowl, an update on that. This is my third request. And lastly, an update. We have Marchbank Park, to which a citizen came in and provided us information on how difficult for the surrounding residents it's made to park in that particular area. And looking to get an update on that, because if I'm not mistaken, we have made arrangements for sports programs utilized by private school to come in and use our field. And I'm wondering if that could be contributing to the problem in parking. So that's all I have, just those 3 items that I'm requesting. Either it's agendized or to receive a follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our City Council report, I will state on the Cal Cities Governance, Transparency, and Labor Relations Policy. I sit on that committee. California Cities is a statewide organization that advocates for cities' needs. I went to the policy meeting and sat on there as a representative and learned about some bills that are going into the state floor. And so in that regard, I can provide some extensive notes, but in not only with the policy meeting, they also provided an opportunity for folks to understand what's happening with the litigation for redistricting across California, and I thought that was very insightful, as well as, just about affordable housing and building affordable housing in cities across California, and really talking about how we can solve that issue just across all of our cities. Also, on June 13th, we had our Philippine flag raising. It was a wonderful event attended by representatives from Senator Scott Wiener's office, Assemblymember Phil Ting's office, and representative from Congressman Mullen's office. There was a large delegation, the Philippine consulate, Neil Ferrer, and of course this couldn't be done without the support of Tita Perla Ibarrientos and the Filipino Bayanihan Resource Center. I want to thank the staff that helped coordinate this. It was an overflowing, well-attended event, and to all the staff, everyone, the community members that came, it was just a real showing for the 125th Philippine Independence Day. On June 13th, I also attended the retirement party of Bernie Vidales for his tenure and dedication to the Jefferson Elementary School District. It was definitely well attended at Skyline Fairlawn Center, where also Council Member Daus Magboal was present. Also, wanted to share that I also attended on June 15th. I joined Mayor Nicholas from South San Francisco and Mayor Del Rosario of Colma with various Filipino organizations at the Philippine Consulate for their 125th anniversary. Also wanted to share that I also joined the Alice event. They do a lot of work around domestic violence, and they had their event to promote actually older adult and senior programming as far as like understanding what fraud is, also understanding what resources there are in the community. And they also honored a lot of community members that have given their community service. Tita Perla Ibarrientos was one of those community members, as well as Tita Cynthia Bonta was also awarded amongst those recipients. Also, just wanted to acknowledge that, this past Juneteenth happened, and want to, from the inception of it being a national holiday, when I was mayor, right away pushed to have Daly City employees be able to have that time off. And so I know that is coming to fruition with all of the bargaining units concluding with it. Also was able to celebrate the June Pride celebration in San Francisco with San Mateo David Canepa and also the San Mateo Pride Initiative. And we'll say it was also my two littles' first time in the Pride Parade. That was a journey. And also, I mentioned this earlier, and I wanted to thank again Supervisor David Canepa for the funding for the emergency defibrillators that are now, there's one in our city hall, and they'll be located in other public facilities. And thank you to the city manager, Tom Piccoletti, for letting us know that also all our staff is being trained in this regard. And I also wanted to thank the staff, Tatum Mothershead, and also to Tom Piccoletti. When I reached out to them directly in regards to ensuring that our housing element would have the language to include labor, they acted on it. And the draft of our housing element now includes a provision that really promotes, the hiring of, labor. And that's now included. I know that our housing element it's been a process, but having that sent over with that draft, I just want to acknowledge that that has been done, and did not need to come to the city council, because I think that's a provision that was heard and held. And so I just wanted to share with those that are watching, labor organizations, that it's already actually in our draft and has come, it's already included. The language has been included. And so that is something I want to thank the staff for, and for them listening in that regard. I think that is it, unless, I think that's it for city council reports. I know I'm stepping in for Mayor Bonaventura, but are there any adjourned in memory or in memoriam this evening? There are none. Okay, but before I do, is there any staff reports? There are none. Okay, and motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Excuse me. I have a few for adjournment. I did notify staff. I did notify staff, and I think I would like to provide my adjournment comments.
Of course. I'll reopen the meeting. You didn't.
Through the chair.
Councilmember Sylvester, I'd like to let you know you did not call for me to, and did not let me know. So that's why, therefore. So.
Yeah, through the chair. Apologies, but we weren't aware. Apologies.
Okay.
All right. I'll be more than happy to email a copy of the correspondence that I said to staff, along with the city clerk, with the appropriate date and time stamp. Thank you very much.
And Councilmember Sylvester, I'll allow you to do your in memoriam.
First, I would like to adjourn this meeting in memory of Olga Maria Gonzalez Ramirez. She was the mother of a previous colleague I used to work with, and she leaves behind her son, and she resides in Puerto Rico, and our funeral services was last week. The next one is Maria Carmen Vernengo. It's a very good friend of mine, to which, not only a friend, but a colleague, to which I had the honor of pinning his star on him. Maria passed away at the age of 87, and she leaves behind 9 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren, and this is where she drew her strength and left her legacy, because being with family was what Ms. Vernengo enjoyed most of all. And the last one, I'd like to provide some information. I'd like to adjourn the memory of Commander Kit Crenshaw. I remember in the year was 1978 when we entered the police academy together. And we all went around the room, and we learned that he was the youngest one in the class, just turned 21. It was that same day that they had an incident in San Francisco, Moscone and Milk event, and they said we might have to go out. But Kit was definitely a physical specimen when we would do physical training, and that's running around Treasure Island. You can only guess who was the last, and that was me. I hated it. But I'll never forget that at the end of the academy, what he did is he pushed me from the back to the front, and I led the platoon of 36 officers around, pre-officers around Treasure Island on that last day. Well, he met his wife. Reiko married in 1986, and they fell in love, and they were married the following year. He always harbored love and respect for the law, and at the suggestion of his cousin, he became a San Francisco police officer in 1978. Kit worked patrol, narcotics, the housing task force, traffic company, special investigations. He was a cop's cop dedicated to community policing, keeping our neighborhood safe, and mentoring others, especially young people. During Kit's time at the Housing Task Force, he developed a vital partnership between the community and the SFPD. Out of this allegiance, the San Francisco chapter of the Midnight Basketball League was created, and a program that offered young men jobs. He also provided private security for celebrities and performed and highlight his service on Prince's 1993 European tour. In 2004, he attended the 216th session of the FBI National Academy before he was promoted to commander. Maui was his favorite place to go and relax. He is preceded in death by his mother, his father. He is survived by his wife, Reiko, children Kit Jr., Christian, and Kiara Crenshaw. Granddaughters, Malia Jade Elizabeth Crenshaw. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May we have a moment of silence?